Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 49 of Plat Chat Valorant. We're here, the regular squad, and we're incredibly serious.
And that's a really significant number that we've landed on, 49.
It's one off 50.
There's something else about the number 49.
What else is
really
important?
Remarkable?
What else is important about it?
And I'm going to tell you about it.
What?
49 is 7 squared.
No way. That's crazy. In case any of you didn't know at home, Wyatt's a bit of a math buff, and he just loves throwing out these.
Wait to get to episode 49.
Yeah.
I've been talking about that for months.
Yeah, he loves episode 25, episode 36, episode 49. He's just big fans of all of those.
Weird, because Avast is the one who wears like the fucking shirts that are like the order.
The Fibonacci spiral. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, other math fact that's pretty cool. If you think about this, 49. If you add 20 to it, it's 69. So that's pretty.
All right. Yeah. This fucking guy.
Yeah, that's not.
By the way, Avast has turned into a calculator.
We're just fact checking.
It checks out. It checks out. Avast, you're looking cute today.
Yeah, I got a hairband, and I've decided that I'm just going to wear a hairband for Plat Chat Valorant now because we have to wake up early in the morning. But honestly, I don't know why I do that because like I'm trying to get here right on time. It's like, I don't have time to do the hair. I got to put the hairband in. And then everyone shows up 20 minutes late anyway. So I'm like, well, maybe I could have just done that. But you know what? I'm committed to it.
I have this large problem where I don't perceive reality properly when I'm asleep, which I imagine that
like
a lot of other people do.
There's so much to unpack in that statement, by the way. There was an incredible amount to unpack there, Josh.
What I mean is, my alarm went off this morning, right, to be able to get up for the show, and I slid it off to snooze or whatever, and then in my brain I went, that was my task for 9 a.m. That's what I had to do, was just turn my alarm off. And so then I went to sleep peaceful in the knowledge that I had completed what the alarm was for. And so in that half-dazed state between consciousness and unconsciousness, I fail completely to analyze the real world properly. And it's a real problem with me getting up.
I got a little tip for you, Josh.
Yeah?
Put your alarm or your phone not in arm's reach.
Yeah.
So you have to get up and turn it off.
No, that would be a good idea, except then I wouldn't get up. I would just sleep through it. I just leave
You just have your alarm go off?
There's no way you just sleep through an alarm.
I could sleep through anything.
Like, I have an app where it's on my bedside, but in order for me to turn it off, I have to take it to the lights in the other room where the
Really?
Open.
See, that is clever. That's clever. I like that. That's pretty good. I'd probably jerry rig a system where I strapped it to the cat and just threw tuna at the lights or something.
I have started just turning my phone off.
You've just started turning your phone off?
Well, then that doesn't, you haven't solved any. Well, I feel like if you go with the effort to turn your phone off, you're still going to be kind of awake by that point.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, human ingenuity knows no bounds in its quest for laziness. That's incredible.
No, I feel like you just have very unevolved survival instincts, Josh, because the whole point of being able to wake up and not be foggy is so like saber-toothed tigers wouldn't eat us like 20,000 years ago in the caves. But if we went back there, Josh, you'd be the first to be consumed. When the fire dies down,
I wouldn't even know about it, man. I'd sleep through them eating the lower half of my body. By the time they got to the vital organs, I'm
just never waking up.
No, I'm never waking up. I would pass peacefully in my sleep. They go, oh God, that must have been a horrible death, mauled by saber-toothed tigers. And in reality, I didn't even perceive it was occurring as it happened. Anyway, Valorant? Anyone want to talk about Valorant?
Let's talk about some Valorant now.
So, Valorant, huh?
Wow,
anyone?
Patch.
We talked last week about KO, but we got it wrong because we were just going off the gameplay trailer, and like it wasn't even a gameplay trailer; it was like a hype video. Mostly.
I, for one, am appalled that we got something wrong.
Yeah.
Shocked.
Were you guys even paying attention to the trailer? The grenades didn't act like that.
Yeah. I'm not convinced that the trailer at any point showed the knife not requiring line of sight. But that blew my mind. When it goes through walls, the knife goes through walls. That changes everything about the agent.
And the radius is big too.
It's huge.
It's too strong.
Okay, you're already on that train, are you?
Well,
before we've even seen it get played.
No.
Have you ever played it? Have you tried it in ranked?
No, because I'm taking a stand against Riot with this one. Okay. I hate that you have to pay for the new agents when they come out. Or you have
yes.
to grind your brains out to get the new agent.
I had some people, I was streaming Valorant a couple of days ago. I had some people in my chat saying, why do you pay for the new agents? It's so quick to be able to grind them. No, it fucking isn't.
People don't understand how much they play games in relation to the rest of the population of the world.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. I swear it takes so long to unlock agents.
It takes a long time.
And I feel like I play a reasonable amount of the game. And it takes a long time. And I don't want to pay for the new agents. So what I'm going to do is probably
down to
not,
Riot HQ.
Well, no. I'm probably, the reality is I'm just not going to play KO for a few games. And I'm going to be trying to get to him. And then I'm going to check the status bar. And it's going to be 4% full. And then I'm going to buy him anyway. So no, I haven't played him yet. I probably will.
Right.
Very shortly after buying him and then getting mad at myself for buying him. But it does seem... He seems powerful, but I don't think he's I don't think he's really necessarily broken. I think that's too hard to call right now, but he seems very powerful. And if there is to be a nerf, I think it would be in the in regards to the knife and how fast you get it back.
It's on a 40-second cooldown. Right?
Yeah, like it should probably, like maybe that should be a longer cooldown, perhaps, or perhaps not a cooldown at all. I think that's where, if there is to be a nerf, it would probably have to go, because I think it opens up potentially boring lines of play. Where, for instance, if you're on, let's say, attacking side Ascent, and you're playing against Team Envy. The Plat chat team, we're in the qualifiers. We're going up against Team Envy.
Okay. What's the score?
And we know, I mean, at the moment we're up.
No, we're not.
It's tied 2-2.
Yeah, we are.
No,
No, we're not. It's tied 2-2. We won a cheeky pistol round. Okay. And we had a crazy strat. We were the fucking Vision Strikers of NA.
Right.
All right. We hit him with a wild pistol strat no one's ever seen before. We had KO, Astra, Viper, and Sky.
Okay.
And so what I'm thinking is, we know FNS plays Killjoy on B a lot on Ascent defending. Okay. You, at the beginning of the round, if you just have your players stack up outside B, like, okay, let's just set up for a fast, hard hit on B, throw the knife. Oh, it hit FNS. Okay, we know they have no Sentinel utility. We just dump all of our utility and go for an instant full sight burst. If it doesn't hit FNS, okay, we just go back and work the map.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think it could potentially open up just boring lines like that where you are... depending on who you hit with it early round, it could just trigger an instant hit. Because if you have the opportunity to hit a site and you know that you just deactivated all of the Sentinel utility or another crucial player who's anchoring that, you are at a massive advantage if you just nuke the site with your own utility and hit it. So...
yeah, I think
Sorry, that was a fucking rant.
But I think there's also a lot of ways that you could tweak it as well. You can tweak the radius of the knife. You can tweak the timing of when it comes back. You can tweak whether or not it gives you information as well. Because if you throw the knife out, but you're not sure whether it hit FNS, then you can't just go straight for the rush. So it's not just the fact that you've suppressed the Sentinel. It's the fact you know that you've suppressed the Sentinel. Well,
Right.
that gives you that ability to make decisions on the fly. Also, though, I think pros will learn to just avoid holding certain spots based on whether the knife is online or not.
Yeah, I mean, you also can't really set up lineups in the same way you can with a lot of the other utility. So, because it's relying on like the fact that it doesn't require LOS. So, to me, it feels like the counter here is going to be like you talked about, Josh, where you're going to know the cooldowns and you're also going to know that like when it's up, you need to be out of certain angles, because it's really hard for the KO to necessarily set up the knife if they don't have, essentially the angle to throw it, right? So there's lots of ways I think where positioning is going to end up being like the most important part about this, and like how you time the cooldowns around the knife, because it's not like a Molly where you can sort of have like all these lineups, right? Or a Sova Dart. There are definitely lots of ways where you can be in positions where it's very hard for the KO to throw a knife that's actually going to clear you. I think is probably what's going to end up happening.
Yeah, the timing is the crucial part. Like to predict the cooldown of the knife as well, and then also like be moving out. You have to smoke a certain spot so that you can cross and just make sure that you're not in a position that you're going to get hit by the knife. But it's also only one, so it's like it's not like you can really bombard an entire. Well, certain cases in certain maps, yeah, you can kind of bombard an entire site or an entire area of a site that it's impossible to play there in entirety. But you have to be guessing where they're going to be using that knife, the execute, to be playing on the left side of the site, the right side of the site, these types of things. And it'll create an interesting meta, at least on when it's played from an attack side. In my mind, the defense side is also just as broken. Like you guys are thinking about the attack side when there's an execute coming, just throw a knife and then all of a sudden the execute's completely just fucked. Like that seems so busted to me as well.
Yeah.
As soon as you see one smoke, one Astra star get put down, just throw it, and then it's busted for another 8 seconds. That's crazy.
Yeah, that I think is that though is very timing based as well, because there's only a few agents that want to be throwing out their utility as they cross through a choke point that someone would have. Like we were just watching Split A there, so that's immediately just the map area that I'm thinking of. If you're holding as a KO and you're holding from heaven or screens or on site, you can probably get an angle to the choke point to try and knife them. But if they're holding back a little bit using breach utility or what else would you even be using as you go in? I guess you would stop raised satchels probably.
How does it interact with like ults?
Phoenix flashes?
Is it only for abilities or does it interact with ults at all?
It interacts with ults. It breaks. So you can't pop your ult if you're suppressed. But if you pop your ult as Sova or Raze or Jett, like the ones that have active stuff to do while you're in it, it'll cancel it for the.
So theoretically, if you're doing like a showstopper in, you could. And also, if you wanted, let's say you pop like a Killjoy ult, and then for the offense, and you just throw that and disable the Killjoy ult, right? Like
no, the Killjoy ult doesn't.
Or would that
work
not
like
that work?
Yeah, no.
The Killjoy ult can get broken by his grenade, but it doesn't get just cancelled by a knife. As far.
Well, then also, I guess like if you wanted to use a dragon to engage as well, if you wanted to use a Hunter's Fury.
Phoenix?
I'm assuming you just
with Phoenix, it doesn't like if he doesn't pop it, then you can't use it. But if he
it
pops
doesn't break
he's gone.
Yeah, he's just still in it. Okay, interesting.
I mean, I think another aspect of it, in regards to that point, as if you're the attacking team, you're grouped up for a hit and you suddenly get knifed. Also, just it's not an enjoyable playing experience. That's not fun. There's no counter.
It's not fun being getting hit by it on defense too. Like.
Yeah,
I can't use my volley now. I can't get in a good position. I can't counter flash. Like these are the tenets of my why I'm excited to play a defensive half or anything. It's like using my abilities in interesting ways. I don't want to just peek. That's just like the most boring way to play a certain thing. Like unless there's a crossfire or whatever, but the crossfires are kind of busted because you're probably getting hit by a knife, which tells you that there's 2 agents there and yada yada yada. You're probably also getting droned and Sova darted. It's like all this stuff breaks that aspect of the game in such a level that I'm excited for KO. I'm excited to play him in ranked and stuff because I like his flash a lot. But the other aspects of him, I'm so scared to play against him.
I've only played a tiny amount of ranked, so I don't want to state this as being a concrete opinion or anything. But when I was playing some games with and against KOs, and I played as KO in one of the rounds as well, it felt like people were using it early round a lot because it's on a timer. So in the similar way that you would use a recon dart at the beginning of the round to gather information, people were using that to stop people taking map control at the very beginning of a round. You can stop a Raze taking map control or a Killjoy or whatever. And then there's a 40-second cooldown with which you can feel comfortable walking around wherever you like. And then I guess my point here is that it really feels like an ability that you have to track, because if you get randomly hit by it, it can fuck up your plans or give away really crucial information. And it's not like a recon dart where you can break it and they know someone is there. If you get hit by the knife and you don't have any opportunity to break it because it's on the other side of a wall, they know that you are there. They have perfect information of they don't know exactly the coordinates of where you're standing, but they know who you are and where roughly you are on the map. But it felt like something in my head that you had to really track and play around.
Yeah.
Like, okay, knife is forced out. We have 40 seconds of freedom here where we can use our abilities. And then you have to think about it again when it's back online.
It gets added to the list of abilities that are like that, right? So you're tracking you're tracking Sova drones, you're tracking Sova darts, you're tracking boom bots, you're tracking all that information gathering stuff as best as you can. Sky flashes as well.
Yeah.
As an IGL, as somebody who's just paying attention, has good awareness, those are things that you're trying to you're doing the Quake thing of literally timing the Sova darts. Like, well, this now it's 40 seconds, so I best to readjust. But as soon as you see one, you're doing the math. That is the thing. That is a skill that you'll have in here. And I think because it's only one character, it's not like everybody has a knife. It's it's playable. There are counters. You could put the Killjoy. You could get the Killjoy to put her nanoswarms on a certain spot and then rotate her to another site so that like if they do go to the site where her nanoswarms are, no way can she get disabled and she could always pop those. Like there's these ideas that I think will happen and the meta won't be so crazy that it's entirely broken, although radius is ridiculous. But I'm really on Wyatt's train here where it just feels like a frustrating agent.
Yeah. I mean, the radius is crazy.
The radius is insane. I mean, it might just. I mean, maybe the change might have to be, then it just can't go through walls, or.
But I feel like if it can't go through walls, it gets neutered so hard because there's no lineups. You can't line it up.
There's lineups. It's the same.
It seems like
it's 2 bang Sova dart.
Oh, okay. I thought
So it's
for
like
some
a
reason,
powerful Sova dart.
Okay, I haven't seen too many lineups with it yet, so I was under the assumption that it didn't seem like there were lineups. But if there were lineups for it, then okay, then that's fine. Never mind.
There are
There
less
aren't as
lineups because it doesn't bounce.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't
Right.
bounce, and also you can't alter the strength of it. You can't add like extra bounces to it or anything. So,
But at the end of the day, though, if it is harder, okay, at that point, then theoretically, maybe you're trading off. Okay, this is much harder to tag people with than a Sova recon dart, but the gains of tagging someone with it are much greater than a Sova recon dart. I mean, that is the trade-off.
they are in some
which
circumstances.
I think is reasonable.
In some situations, I'd rather see exactly where someone is to push them off an angle than have them be suppressed.
Sure, like through smokes or things like that. But
Or even just if you're hitting a site, it can be really. If you're hitting a site against someone that you think is just rifle out, then it doesn't really benefit you that much to suppress them. If they've already used their utility that they would use, the Sova's already launched his recon dart and he's just waiting for people to come in. You'd rather.
I mean,
it
depends on which agent
away.
you're trying to deny utility.
But I don't think
if you're
he's
hitting,
straight up
if you're
better.
hitting, yeah, I mean, if you're hitting Sentinels with it, if you're hitting like a Viper with it, or anyone with a Molly, anyone that has an ability to slow down a push, essentially, if you're hitting them with it, you can just drop the sight nuke on them with all your utility. You're at a tremendous advantage. So
yeah. Way more powerful than we thought, though, when we were talking about it last week, because we assumed that it would all require LOS. Have any of you had an opportunity to play him? Have you been running
I've
around?
also been refusing to buy him, so I'm with Wyatt in the hunger strike. The hunger strike against Riot.
Balla, you've played?
I played him.
What do you think playing about
nothing to report. I just really like his flash. Like,
yeah.
In my mind, everybody's freaking out about how excited they are about KO, specifically because he has a CS flash. It's just so much fun to be able to pop flash for yourself, to be able to pop flash for your teammates. The flash is the only ability that doesn't make noise while it's in the air, compared to like a sky flash or some of the other things, or breach flash where there's like a notification beforehand. Like you can literally pop flash with this thing, which that's been my favorite part of the agent so far. Like easily. Like suppressing whatever, but at the end of the day, people in ranked aren't even using their abilities in optimal ways anyway, so it's not like I could get a good sense of how the knife would be. It's just like, he's gonna face me anyway, so what is the point?
Yeah, people in ranked act like they only have their rifle anyway. So it's like, we've all been playing KO this whole time.
Oh, his fucking ult is hella fun. Like, I'll be serious about his ult. His ult is hella fun. I feel like, I don't know if it's placebo or what, but the speed up that you get, the buff on the fire rate is insane. And then just being able to get revived, like it feels like a buffed Phoenix because you get into a position to like you die on triple, and then it's like, okay, well now we're on site because you just killed 2 people with your ults. I don't know. That thing was really fun, and that shit pulses. That thing is like a nuke, bro. That thing goes the entire map, like the suppression. You don't have to see nobody. There's still little information with it too. I enjoyed that. I don't know. I didn't play against a KO, so I don't know.
It still goes through walls, right? The ultimate still goes through walls.
Yep.
It just doesn't tell you who you suppressed, so you can't use it for info. But I mean
it's just like that. You don't really
ult.
need to, because it's kind of like, well, you have the site. You can entry onto site, right?
Yeah.
You can just entry. There's no util to worry about.
Sometimes there's info though. I think it's kind of bugged right now because like if they're too close, when you see them, they have like this little triangle or something like that. That tells you that they're suppressed, like the flash symbol or like the flash thing. But it like goes through walls. It clips like a lot. So that was kind of busted. I think
saw
on
a clip of someone
Twitter,
killing someone on a ramp of Split. Just saw them through the wall and was spamming through. But yeah, that's a bug.
It's a little bugged.
Yeah. All right. The other thing that came out this week was the enormous patch 3.0, which was, I mean, it's so gargantuan that we want to split it up into some different parts here as well. A lot of the economy changes got leaked and talked about as well, but the agent updates are pretty significant too. So that's where we want to start. We're just going to go through the patch kind of bit by bit by bit. It's going to be bulky for sure, and some of it won't be that interesting, but there are a bunch of really interesting things happening here. And before we even get into it, I've only seen glowing reports of patch 3.0. Like, all of the pros and people around the scene that have been talking about this patch, it's just been good thing after good thing.
Yeah.
Anyone heard any?
Outside of KO, I think
positive.
literally this is moving all in the right direction. Run and gun.
I saw Gangsta
pricing.
complaining though about like slightly about like Vandal and versus Phantom, because of the fact with the new the new full buy amounts with how they changed abilities. They're like, well, we should just always buy Phantom now because not everyone is gonna. But for the most part, I think that's relatively.
Wait,
it seems like a very specific
They
case.
didn't change the price of the Phantom or the Vandal. How does that?
No,
make
they
a difference?
they didn't change. No, the point is, so his point was because they changed the ability pricing. Some people are going to start sacrificing armor for utility, so Phantom will just automatically be better now, even though it does like a little bit less damage, because like it doesn't matter because you can just be more consistent with it and the less damage because people are going to be less on armor. But that seems like a very specific case, and also on top of that, like Vandal still would be very good in those situations as well because you can always guarantee the kill, right? While Phantom you might not be able to still. So
yeah,
I don't know.
We shall see. I mean,
we'll see, right?
It depends.
Vandal simps going down.
No, I'm still buying it. I don't care if everyone has light armor every round. I'm still buying it. I think. I guess I suppose to some extent that's to be determined, but we'll just have to see how much the overall economy changes round by round in regards to players having to get light armor more often, which would be the case. I mean that. There's no doubt that more players will have to play with light armor.
Absolutely.
After this patch. I mean, that is. It just depends how many
whether
players
it's
have
significant.
Because if it is significant, then that's very reasonable.
Or maybe people will take way more save rounds instead and just try to buy full armor and full utility.
Yeah. The other option is that on a buy round, they'll just have less utility, right? They won't go for a full buy. They'll just get armor or armor rifle and less utility.
Yeah.
I
feel like
what
that's quite
happens,
unlikely,
yes,
though.
for the most part.
Yeah, utility though in this game is so important.
I mean, you have 4 other teammates with utility. Hopefully, like at least it'll combine for that.
I've also heard people say that like they're worried about that pistol rounds have gotten stronger because of the economy changes. Because now bonus rounds are way stronger. So because you can like, since everything's more expensive for the most part, like you're able to, your bonus is generally way stronger even into the enemy rifles. So you know, that's also something I think people have expressed some concerns about. I've been watching and I'm like, I don't know. It's still too early to really tell where it's going to lead, right?
Yeah,
but I can see how both of those things could be a concern.
Okay. Well, let's start with the agent updates. So to begin with, I mean, there are so many things in this patch, but to begin with, the signature abilities now only provide a minimum of 1 charge per round instead of accumulating a charge every round, right? So this... If you have 2 charge signature ability and you end the round with 1 charge remaining, you will not gain an additional charge. I can't even remember what this applies to. What is this
Omen.
specifically
Like-
to?
Paint shells, right?
No, paint shells is only one charge. It gets
Oh, that's
refreshed
right.
2 kills.
Yeah.
It's Omen. It's Sky.
Guy.
It's because he has dark cover. Sky has their flashes.
Yeah.
It's who else? Breach. Breach gets a flash.
True.
You start to see where we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Astra is one of those who's getting refreshed all the time. Reyna as well because she has everything connected. Can't think of anybody else right now. Brim, he has a smoke. He has 3 smokes in one.
Yeah. I see.
So
I
it's
see.
agents like that.
So basically, what it means is you only get the benefit of the signature if you used all of them in the round,
Yes.
Correct.
because you're gonna begin the round with a minimum of 1.
Yeah.
And you will never get a free. You will never get to a point where you just get 2. You have 2 smokes at the beginning of the round for free because you didn't use one last time.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
essentially, to me, this change affects like ecos and pistol rounds the most. Where you won't have an Omen who, well, you might if they invest a little bit into it, but you won't have an Omen by default who has 2 smokes and can already do a side execute, right? You won't be able to do that on pistol round. Maybe it's only 1 smoke because he wants paranoia or whatever. Same with any of the controllers. I think that's the most impactful point because that was a huge part of pistol rounds and eco rounds. Even the fact that you could get 2 smokes out and basically do an execute with your utility was so drastically different from CS that made them really powerful. If you think back to the Stinger meta, that was a reason why Stinger meta was so good, was because you already had 2 smokes to execute and you didn't have to buy them at all. You could imagine places like Ascent on B site, and you're just putting a smoke down on spawn, putting a smoke down on market, and you could hit it. With this, you only have one of those. You have to make the decision, and one of them will be very open, and that's where the range of an eco rounds will come into effect, where you'll be at a significant disadvantage. So I think that's huge.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Moving on. The Astra changes. So Astra was insanely powerful, and they still want her to be able to operate across the map, but she was crazy at the very beginning. Like, being able to pull straight off the beginning was stopping people taking lobby control on Haven, was stopping people taking
Just thinking of the zombs.
A on Split or anywhere. Yeah, it was just absurd. So there's now some big changes. So the cooldown time has been increased massively for some of her abilities as well. Cooldown time increased from 12 seconds to 25 on her stun, the Nova Pulse.
They did it for the star as
Gravity
well.
well.
They did, yeah. They've done it for the star and the gravity well.
Yeah. And so all of these abilities now have 25-second cool. Those are enormous. That's a huge increase. And then the stars are now inactive when placed during the buy phase. So you can't just use them at the barriers. You can't suck immediately. What is it, 1.4 seconds before they're usable?
1.4.
So
Which also, I mean, that...
there are still areas where you can use them. You just have to place them differently. So you can still use them at the beginning of the round to take some map control. If it's like a long area that you're fighting over, you just have to not place them at the spawn barrier. You have to place them further up. But you're still giving more space to the other team. Either way you look at it.
And to just
Think of it like an Omen. Like if an Omen wanted to place something, it's about the same time, maybe slightly faster.
Right. For the travel time of the smoke, this is almost like travel time at the beginning of the round. Yeah.
Yep.
It also it gives players facing against an Astra the opportunity to reposition out of areas where, like, if an Astra would just place a star on your head and just gravity well you, like if you're playing in a corner holding Haven C against like a retake or something, and you're just stood in the corner and suddenly a gravity well comes down, you can actually get out of
But
the
that's
way.
only at the
It
beginning
doesn't.
of the
It doesn't
round,
affect
right?
that. It's only barrier if it's placed before the barrier.
Oh,
So you could
really?
still
I thought that they
you
were.
could still
I thought it was
insta-grab
just in
well.
general.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, it's only for buy phase, like right after buy phase and when barrier drops. So.
I thought it was in general. You could actually
Nope.
just get out of the way, or there was a time on it.
No.
But
I mean, they did increase the cooldown, so like it's a lot.
Yeah.
So now, like, you are going to have constantly repositioning stars. Like, she won't be able to reposition her stars all the time. To like, if you force them out as well, when like you try to like get some info and then she pops them, then you can, if you actually in position with like, you can actually hit a site fast with no stars being repositioned if she has them all focused on one site. So it is a lot harder for her to just reposition all of her stars immediately and deny a push across the map.
I think this
Yeah.
is a massive nerf to this character. I don't know whether you guys feel the same, but I think that this almost pushes her back to being reasonable. Or rather, not back, because she never was reasonable.
Never was.
But this brings her in line with the other controllers in my mind, where there are now enough like benefits to using Omen's paranoia and setups that you could run with that, to where Astra is now a character that you should be thinking about whether you want to run, rather than just she is a must pick in all scenarios because she gives you massive extra utility all the time. You have like you have the 2 smokes that you would normally have. Maybe you need 3 over the course of the round, and then you have 2 extra pieces of utility. You can't be as free with where you're using them. It's not as easy to pick them up and replace them as quickly. The cooldowns are much larger. I feel like a lot of her versatility has been pretty profoundly impacted by these changes for good.
I also, Kurt, if you could pull it up again for a second, go to the top where they have the developer thing about it. Is this the first? I feel like this is the first time they've said something as to Astra is incredibly popular at higher levels of play, and we felt that like they were basing this on what was happening in pro play, where typically a lot of these changes that we've seen in the past, they reference ranked data,
Sure.
as to the decision behind some of the changes. I don't know.
It could also refer to, I mean, higher levels of play could also refer to like Immortal and, Diamond ranks as well, not
Sure.
just
I mean,
pro
that's
play.
Yeah. I mean, even if they're going off that, I suppose it's more positive than it seemed in the past. It was just sort of some of the changes they were making when they would just have these little notes about them would be more generally just based on overall ranked data.
I don't know. I disagree with you, Josh. I think that this just makes her slightly harder to play, but is still the same impact. Because now it's just you kind of have to predict a little faster. Like when I watch a lot of Astras who I don't think are, I don't know, they are always really slow to retake their smokes or their stars when they're going to need them. Like you're going to have to preemptively do that. Like when site hit starts, you're going to be instantly taking smoke somewhere else or taking your stars back so that you can actually have them for the retake. A lot of Astras were in this crutch place where they would finish their rotate, they would look at what's about to happen, and then be like, oh, let me take my stars back and then put them down. I think that the cooldown times are not. I mean, yeah, the gravity well cooldown 12 to 25 seconds. It seems like a lot given what it was, but gravity well is still so fucking strong. Like it doesn't matter. You can still use this 4 times around. Like you can still use it. So I mean, obviously you have stars
But I
to
think
deal with, but it's not like you're going to be. When were you ever popping a gravity well 12 seconds apart?
I think very frequently, actually, weren't you? I feel like I was quite often when we were playing, but I mean that's just me. I don't know whether the pro teams were, but I know from when we were talking to Soulcast, one of the reasons that he felt like he didn't need to use Astra was because they were trying to time their hits between suck cooldowns.
Yes.
And if that is now increased to 25 seconds, that's twice the window of counterplay that you have available. And I mean, we can tell from what Liquid's failures to actually do that with the 12-second cooldown that was not viable, particularly when you had a 12-second cooldown on the sucks. I feel like when you have 25, it does make it much larger, that window for counterplay. And also just not being able to suck the spawn barriers, I think people were getting enormous value out of that. Like there was nobody else that could apply the same pressure in those areas of the map. Like just being able to suck straight off the rip. Because also I'm not even sure how it works if you just go for a burst into a site in some of these areas as well. There are some sites where you might be able to get in past the choke point within a second and a half of the barriers going down, aren't there? So that you would have to like, you'd have to set up your stars very defensively at the beginning because you're worried about just fast hits coming through. I'm imagining like Ascent B or Split A or something. You wouldn't be able to suck very deep because you have to allow people, if they wanted to, can push very far into the choke point before you can.
You're not sucking deep.
That. No, I'm not sucking deep. I'm sucking shallow for those ones. Maybe that's why the pro players use.
I understand the subtext.
Yeah. What do they call it? What they call it, like a grab or something. What do they call it? We're
Let's get
talking
to the next topic.
Yeah,
before we,
whatever. We're lost in the sauce.
Before we take this to a place that
Lost in the sauce.
gets us in
Yeah, a
trouble with
little lost, a
YouTube.
little lost in the sauce there.
Okay. The introduction of KO warrants a tuning pass on our other initiators. Don't know why that comma is there in the middle of the sentence. That's not very good grammar, but I'm just going to nitpick that, I guess, and we're going to move on. The initiators... the initiators are in a weird place, I feel.
Jeff Landa. Shots taken at him for no reason.
I don't know. It just threw me off. It's not good grammar. Anyway, the Sova's incredibly strong. KO seems like he's really strong. And Breach has just kind of drifted out of the meta despite the fact that he was insanely powerful when he was first buffed like this. And then they haven't really changed him that much. So they've gone for a bit of a shift up here. You've got to remember that everybody essentially has been nerfed in terms of their cost increase. So if you haven't been massively nerfed in this patch, you've essentially been buffed, I guess, is like a weird way of putting that. But okay, total charge reduced down to 2 and cost increased. And the projectile speed decreased as well. I don't know whether that's going to make a difference. The flash now pops slightly slower because if it's further away, if you have to shoot it long distance, it's going to be slower.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Does that make a difference? I don't know.
I don't understand that.
I mean, it could if it's what I'm
think about.
interpreting it as in terms of like you using it to where it hits the wall and then activates, right?
Yeah.
Like whichever
Yes.
surface you're trying to go through. Then to me, that could theoretically change like your sight executes a bit, or like when you're trying to like fast execute, peek off the flash, or like retake flash, someone peeks off it, that changes the timings a bit, right? Where everyone sort of had the timings down of like, okay, my breach is flashing, I'm swinging. Now it like changes that up a little bit. So I feel like it sort of, because this is already on top of the fact that flashes got nerfed across the board too.
They did,
Because like I feel like they've done a lot to tune flashes, and I feel like that was something I was worried about when we saw KO is like another flash, and now you can pop flash, but now it's like, oh, okay. Like they've tuned all the flashes, they've reduced the projectile. So I think it's okay. I think it reduces the strength of flashes a little bit, makes them, I don't know, you can't just immediately like, execute off of them. There's some counterplay, some more anti-flash potential.
One other thing that affects all flashes, I don't think we looked at it. If you go back up to the top, Kurt, when it just says all agents, visibility returns faster during the fade out period of all flashes.
Right, yes.
That's very important to think of in context of the flashing characters, because now turning flashes is significantly better. Like turning flashes back in the past, like you feel like a god when it happens, but you're still flashed. Now you're really not flashed. Now it feels a lot more in line with turning flashes in CS, which is really good. I also don't understand the projectile speed decrease or whatever the hell that means, but I heard it explained as it makes it easier for breach players to peek off their flashes. I don't know who. I feel like it was a dev who said that.
I mean, that could make sense in a way,
because you still have the slow pull-out time for the gun. So if your flash pops a little later, you're going to be able to peek with your
timing
flash.
Is
but
who the
fuck's firing their flash from miles away and then sprint into a
Shut
corner?
up.
Like most of the time, if you're peeking with a flash, you're doing it from close range, where that isn't a major stopping.
Also,
point.
I don't know some of these numbers. I just don't. What is 2,500 to 2,000 main?
I don't know.
That means speed.
Oh,
that means speed.
The UPS. The units per
2,000
second.
speed.
Of course, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
I
like
know,
changed
but
Omen's smoke travel time, and we were just lost in the sauce.
Yeah,
we were like, okay, I don't know.
I mean,
all right.
Think
Well,
about
anyway.
it. Okay, here, there's a very easy way to do this without knowing the units. Think about it in terms of like percentages. I'm serious here.
Okay,
you fucking math nerd, Wyatt. You 7
Yeah, you
squared.
math nerd.
love addition. And
Yeah, you
multiplication.
stupid nerd.
Think about it like that's I'm not going to do the math, but it's like an 8.
20.
Right?
It's a 20% decrease.
Yeah.
20%
I get.
decrease.
Yeah. I get that part of it. It also. We can move on.
It's hammer units.
Yeah, let's
hammer
move on.
units. That's what it is.
Let's tackle
Well, yeah,
the
we
rest
can
of
move on.
Breach's kit as well. His fault line.
No. Let's keep talking about this. We're
Kurt
only
wants
on
us to go
Breach.
through the math.
Yeah.
Oh
Pull up the
boy.
calculator again.
All right, what the hell have we got here? Fault line.
I mean, this seems like quite the buff.
Yeah,
to the
okay, so
fault
it's
line.
faster to be able to full charge. The
Yeah.
width has been increased. The wind-up time decreased.
It's a telegraph wind up.
It gets... you get concussed for longer. You can unequip more quickly, but the cooldown is slightly increased.
I'll take all that for 5 more seconds of waiting.
Yeah?
I think this is a pretty big buff. But
Yeah.
also...
One thing that's cool is that all the cooldowns have increased to 40 seconds. So now it's like not only easier to track everything, but there's just less of them throughout an entire round, like a Sova dart, all that stuff. I was like super frustrated with how often they could come. Sorry.
Yeah.
Cut you off as usual, Wyatt.
No, it's fine.
Hiko's 35-second timing window has now increased to the 40-second timing window.
I still kind of struggle to see Breach re-entering the meta, though. I don't think we're going to be seeing much Breach for a while. I mean, this is a cool little buff to the fault line, but at the end of the day, I don't know. You get hit with the fault line, and your Vandal turns into a Guardian, and that's about it. It's cool.
Stuns suck in any shooter games.
I mean, they do suck, but I feel like the stun. This is the problem. If they make the stun better, it's annoying to play against.
Yes.
But it's not good. So, like, that's the problem. It's either not good or they make it too good, and then it's annoying because I don't want to get stunned.
Yeah, I feel like I actually quite like it the way that it is right now. I think it's in a good place because if you hit that first bullet,
I think it's reasonably fine right now, but
your screen is also moving, so it's not like it's an even
is it,
duel.
though?
It's
I don't
moving a
know.
bit.
It looks like your monitor's dirty. You got to wipe it off.
How many times do you one-tap
monitor.
someone? How many times are you stunned and you one-tap someone? It doesn't happen
I
that
feel like
often.
I feel like it happens pretty often, honestly.
I think that
I feel like it happens pretty often for what you think should happen if someone's stunned.
Yeah, but
I mean,
I
the
like
stunned
that. I
player
like
wins.
that you have an advantage, but you don't have an insta kill. It's
That
like
is very important to make stuns like okay, like that needs to be in that balance because if it's too weak, then it sucks, and if it's too strong, then it's.
I think that's in a good place. You want them to be stronger.
No, I don't. I'm not advocating for it to be stronger. I think that it is in a good place. Unfortunately, well, maybe it's
you just
not
don't
even
like the stun
unfortunate.
mechanic.
It's just not going to put Breach. Breach just isn't.
Oh, right.
It's just not good enough for Breach to be good enough to be played a lot.
Yeah.
And especially with having whatever it is, one less flash now, right? And
yes.
I mean, Breach is just never going to see the light of day, and his ult is just not good. I mean,
well, his ult technically did. They like made it a wider, so it is wider now.
Wide ult happy. It's just wide, but
wide
it doesn't.
ult happy.
It doesn't help.
The aftershock has also been changed quite significantly, actually. So instead of being one blast that's like kaboom and it kills somebody, it now explodes 3 times.
The heavy.
Each blast deals 60 damage with no fall off. So what this means essentially is that you're not using it to get kills necessarily, but you're using it to deny an area for a significant period of time. And I don't know how the math works out. Like, does this actually deny an area longer than the old aftershock? I would imagine that it does, but now you're thinking about it in the same way that, like, KO's grenade, where it's not just the kill potential, it's the fact that a big area of the map, which with KO is a big circle on the floor, with aftershock is like a cylinder that you're firing through a wall, is just denied for X amount of time because it's dealing 3 big explosions, or none of which you really want to be inside. But you can kind of work around it if you're being aftershock because it's not lethal damage. I think this is good.
I think this is all good. I think I don't know. At the end of the day, it feels like Breach is just going to be one of those agents that he's never going to be. I'm not going to say never because I could buff him, but at the moment, he still remains to be an agent that he's a bit of a niche pick. Like Newturn will pick him. Okay, cool. And you'll have a couple teams bring him out on a map, try a unique strat with him, but he's just going to be a niche pick. And
I
that's
think
fine.
that's cool. I'd love that idea. By the way. I think that's really, really cool.
Not. This is what I was saying before when they were buffing the fuck out of Viper, and now it's kind of annoying
Yes.
how good she is. Not every agent needs to be able to be played all the time on every map. It's
Agreed.
cool when there are niche agents. It's cool when New Turn, they're running a breach. They're like the only team who did this, and they beat the meta comp on Split with the breach.
It was cool when Fnatic ran Viper on Bind. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Now everyone
does. Yeah. It's okay that some agents are just niche picks.
All map specific. Yeah, I think that's fine. Okay, who was after Breach, huh? Who comes next? Brimstone.
Speaking of
They just
niche
increased
picks,
the
Oh,
molly
Lordy.
cost.
What have they done to
no.
revive the old dog, huh?
they give him
that's
6
it.
smokes.
That's it.
That's
The
it.
thing is, though, remember that if you're not getting nerfed in this patch, it's a subtle buff.
I don't want to hear it about.
It's a subtle buff if you're not getting nerfed in this patch, but still, they haven't done anything.
They should
to
really
Brim.
buff the stim packs.
I'm surprised they
200%
didn't, though.
increase fire rate.
Brimstone is a character that is fading away, and this was a good opportunity when you're changing so many other things to like revamp the stim pack or change how he works. They've also nerfed him in terms of how many smokes he gets regularly because of that signature ability change. So he doesn't just get one back every single round guaranteed. They've made the smokes worse.
They have to make Brim be able to do something cool, like get rid of the stim pack, and instead he can do like parkour or something. Like he can jump around, he can climb up walls a little bit or something. Like he can put down a ladder and you can climb up walls.
Put down a ladder.
Oh, that would be cool though. The stim pack could be like that
jump on
Octane
it.
from Apex, where you throw the jump pad and you roll off. That could be cool. Yeah,
because
Then you can go open.
I think the biggest problem with Bill Stone is that at the end of the day, he's also just not that fun. I mean, he's just not that interesting. You got your smokes, you got a molly, and you got a stim pack. I mean, the ult's kind of cool.
Yeah, the ult is cool.
But other than the ult, nothing about him is really that cool. Like, even though Omen isn't good in the meta with Astra, people still want to play Omen because you can get clips for your YouTube videos. And at the end of the day, that's what a lot of the agents need.
They
need to
need
be able
a
to
YouTube.
do
Maybe
something.
Brimstone, he's
Brim
just
pulls
the
out a
Valorant
ladder.
boomer.
You put it next to. I mean, yeah, he is. But you pull out a ladder, you put it next to a box, and you can climb up and like.
What
I
do
don't know.
boomers love doing? If you gave a boomer TikTok, what would they
I don't know,
do?
It's a
What-
lawnmower.
A lawnmower? What, he gets a lawnmower he can ride around on for road
I think he should be able to build a new patio deck as well. Lumber's very expensive right now, so he builds a new patio deck, and that's his ult. That would be a really good one too.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm sure Riot will workshop some of these ideas we're throwing out. Who was
Yeah.
next? Cypher. Cypher got some stealth buffs, even though it doesn't look like it here. The fact that Jett, who we're just about to talk about, can't dash through tripwires and break them is actually a big buff to Cypher. And again, there are no nerfs here particularly in terms of his ability prices or anything like that. So I expect to see Cypher actually play quite a lot more, especially when you consider that KO is in the game and you need to hit the agent with the knife. If you're a Killjoy, you need to be playing around your utility. A Cypher can be playing in Narnia and just dodge the knife and come back in and still be getting value from trips and pop cages remotely. So I think Cypher's got a stealth buff this patch, despite having nothing in the cards.
I mean, this is just a buff too.
Yeah, but I mean, what does that change? Does that move anything?
Yep. No, it doesn't. But
his ult is such a weird one too, that it's like counter to his win condition to play for your ult. I think I've seen one team ever play for Cypher's ult, which was steal on 100 Thieves during first strike, and
and they won.
anybody else,
And
like
they
literally
won
the only
first
one.
strike.
So, but the fact that you're making it more easy to use because you get it more often, it's like counter to what you want to do. Because if you want to use your neural theft, you have to play in a position that you get an aggro kill, and then you can pop it at a good time, so that the timing makes it so that you can see what's about to happen. You can see the setup. Other than that, it's just you're just using it whenever you have an opportunity to.
It's
they
just
push aside or when
opportunistic.
you're pushing aside.
Yeah. It doesn't make any difference.
No.
All right, Jett though is a character that has been touched a lot. So first of all, they said they've reverted the Jett Cypher tripwire interaction. So initially, if you do think back, the developers did make this change when Jett was perceived to be incredibly weak and Cypher was really strong. People didn't understand how to play Jett. They didn't understand the advantage of breaking angles by entering into sites. This was before Tens had pioneered dashing into smokes on site. And even if you'd tried to do that, you would have been just stuck in a tripwire anyway. So now that people are much better at the game, better at finding common tripwire spots, better at understanding the value of Jett, they've reverted this. I think I did like that change, but it did make Cypher's life living hell. So I'm kind of happy to see this reverted. I feel like the brain power of the players has gone up enough for this to be viable again.
Yeah, I agree. I like what they had. I fully agree with what they have put here in the little developer note. I agree. I think it makes sense.
I think they've set it up in such a way where KO also, when I look at these changes, all of these feel like a lot of changes as well to enable KO being chosen more, because like I can see now where like we've given some buffs to the Sentinels to make them where you can't, especially Cypher in particular, where you can't just get through the site for free, but also you've added KO to where now you have the knife and you also have his grenade, which can destroy the utility in a choke. Like you have another option because his nade isn't amazing, but it is pretty decent for killing util. I think so. You know, when I look at a lot of these changes, it feels like this is also more of a change to put KO more at the forefront of the meta as well, and how he's going to interact with Sentinels.
Anything to drag Jett a little bit out of the meta, I think, is a good thing as well. She's so powerful. The other part to this as well is that with all of the abilities, not all of them, but with a lot of the abilities in the game increasing their price, it really creates a distinction between agents that have a good free ability and agents that don't. And Jett has the best free ability in the game, right? As far as I can think of, the dash is the core part of her kit. You could spend zero money on everything else that Jett has, and she would still be a good agent because that signature ability is so strong. It just defines what she does, and she never has to pay for it. So as abilities get more and more expensive, the free ones become more important, and that is, again, a like stealth buff to Jett. So I think it's important that they made sure that there were other things that took Jett down a peg or two in this patch. I don't think that they've gone far enough, but they have at least tried to alter some of the economy.
Yeah. You want to pull that back up, Kurt? Talk about I mean, the updraft up by 50, doubling the cost of the smokes is... That's pretty
somewhat
sizable.
important. That's big. Yeah.
That's pretty sizable.
There's 3 smokes. That's pretty expensive.
Yeah, definitely. So that's also mega necessary that they did significant increases to the costs of Jett's abilities in the patch, that they are also decreasing the cost of the op. That was 100% needed.
Yeah.
So
I also, though, Bladestorm, I think, should almost be an 8 cost ability. It's that powerful, but 7 is a good stepping stone, I think. That's fine. It's a crazy strong ultimate. And
I never would have thought that if there weren't 8 ultimates in the game, though. Before I would have been like, yeah, please just move it to 7. But now that they're like, yeah, Sage Res and Raze Ult are 8, I'm like, yeah, fuck it. Move Bladestorm, run it back, put him at 8. Like, just get him out of here. This is important because this Bladestorm being 6 was one of the reasons why she was such a cost-efficient agent, because she could go around without buying a weapon or drop one for her teammates. So this was one of the reasons why she was so cost efficient. I think this will affect that a lot. If you actually like look at and do the math for like average econ, because of her Bladestorm, every single time she was so good. So this will probably take her up like an average spend of an extra 1,000 credits a round. Like,
I think they say like, I mean, just from the util increases, if you want to have full util buy, it's like an extra. You went from like 600 to like 900, I think, just from the util. So
it'd be 50 plus 50. But
yeah, it must be a little bit more than that. But
that, like, I'm not even referring to that. I'm talking about like over an entire game. What's her util spend? She was probably like 5,000 credits below most for herself. Now, I think with the Bladestorm change, it's going to be like at least 1,000 credits less than that, or
Yeah.
more than that, which is
The-
important.
I've been mulling around an idea in my head, though, of economy changes not actually being that great in this game. Compared to a game like CS, where everything revolves around the economy. I feel like in Valorant, what you've got is a scenario where instead of dropping core utility, if we ignore Jett for a moment because her utility is secondary because she has the dash, for most other agents, you need to buy utility for them to even function and fulfill their role within a team. You know, the Raze most of the time is going to need the boombot to actually fulfill what you've set out the Raze to do on a round. They need that information gathering tool. For Sova as well, you need to spend for the drone if you're taking a round seriously most of the time. So you're going to try and compensate in other areas. Either that means buying lighter weapons, which don't really nerf the agent at all. They just nerf the like rifling aspect of the agent, which I guess is a nerf. If you're reducing the economy to the point where they have to constantly take light armor, then I suppose that's a nerf, but it feels very weird to go in that direction rather than nerfing how strong the abilities are. If you always just nerf the economy, I feel like what's actually going to happen is all you do is you make more save rounds, more eco rounds happen, where people are just trying to keep their investment up for the next time around. You're not actually making the agents weaker, you're just changing the flow of the economy over the course of the game. And for the winning team, they can always just afford these things. So you haven't moved the needle. If all you change is the economy, you haven't moved the needle on the winning team. All you've done is make it more expensive for the losing team to get back in the game, in a game where there's only 12 rounds or 12 rounds a half.
That's really the crux of it all,
Like,
right? Is that the game has less rounds than CS.
Yeah, the economy after this patch looks way more punishing for trying to get comebacks.
Winning a pistol in this game already was more important in that regard, but is now even more important than it being more important. It's more important.
Yeah,
with these economy changes,
and not just that, but being if you force buy, it's now potentially crippling. Or not even if you force buy, but if you go for a retake that's bad and you end up losing rifles or something. Those kind of economic decisions should be now taken way more seriously with everything costing more, because it's not, you don't just have to buy your rifle and your armor, you also have to buy an extra average of $200, $300, $500 worth of
like
abilities. I don't know what the average is, but
it's probably around 300.
The average?
More.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It increase, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like probably the average that you have to spend now in a round went up by like 300 credits.
Wyatt the math wizard.
Yeah, it's around 4,600 now, whereas it was you're actually spot on, to be honest. Not for every agent, but there's a Reddit post, Kurt, that has the economy breakdown for every agent and what it takes to full buy and stuff. But like on this topic, I'm okay with everything you're saying. I'm okay with there being slightly more save rounds. I'm okay with them like being. I hated the aspect that in this game, most of the time on save rounds, you're just light buying. You're just getting a sheriff and light armor, or you're getting whatever. Sometimes you're just hero buying. I didn't like that because it felt like economy didn't matter at all. It's just like there was never a decision point. It was like, okay, I'm just doing this. As an entire team, we're just okay. Buy what you can. You know, I hated that. Even in scrims and comp, everything. I see it all the time. It's just like I'm buying what I can rather than making a conscious decision to make sure I have full util next round, or make sure I have this one piece of util for the next round. Like all that to me is way more interesting than let's just buy whatever we can every round until we can buy full, especially in ranked. I think that has a massive impact.
So here's the table of full buy new versus full buy old. So some of these have not particularly been changed, some of these characters at the top, and I imagine as we go down that they differ more. Like for example, Sova's 200 extra. What else we've got? Sage is 300 extra, Jett 400 extra, Raise only 200 extra, which I thought would end up being more expensive. But overall, a cost increase for most agents, but not for all. For example, Breach has less flashes. So he is the same price as he was before, but for less utility. So there are some scenarios like that in here too, where the overall cost may not have increased, but what you're actually, the price per unit has gone up. But yeah, they're overall not enormous changes, but over the course of an entire match, those kind of things will add up. But yeah, interesting anyway. Let's move on. What were we on? We're on Jett. Who's the next one? Killjoy?
I mean, yeah. And pretty much they just increased the cooldowns for alarm and turrets after you pick them up. So
there's a buff.
How is this a buff?
It's a buff to Zelsis, bro. Every time he's replacing his alarm bot and he gets himself killed, this is a buff for Zelsis.
Yeah. They actually initially made this change to make it more mobile after they tied her to being 40 meters within her kit. But they haven't reverted that part of her. They've just made it so that she now is tied 40 meters to her kit and she's got long cooldowns on moving shit. I hate the direction they're going with Killjoy. I fucking hate it. Like, the way that she used to be played was so interesting, where you could layer stuff around the map and play for information. Now she's just a full-on... You are placing your stuff in a very predictable position and trying to hold a site. I think that's boring as fuck. Just having a character whose only purpose is to shut down hard pushes, I think that's really dull.
What's the alternative for Killjoy? Isn't that literally her purpose no matter what?
No, I mean, when she wasn't tied to the 40 meter stuff, you would put like an alarm bot for info, like you would with a trip on like Haven B or something, or you'd have a turret to give you information as someone crosses a certain area. You weren't just lumping all of your stuff in like a Bjorn setup where you've got 2 mollies, an alarm bot, and a turret all in one tiny choke point ready to eviscerate people as they come through. If you have the freedom to spread it across the map, you can play her for info instead of playing her just to shut down a push. But instead, they've pushed her balance in the direction of like, you are not going to be flexible. You are going to learn setups, put them down, and kill people as they come through chokes. I can understand why people enjoy playing like that, but it's not tactically interesting.
This seems like it seems like after this patch, we're going to be seeing a lot more Cypher.
Yeah.
Say that. I mean, that's not
But is that because of these changes or because of Cypher's changes?
More because of Cypher's changes. I mean, these aren't that significant. It's not too crazy. And
I see what you're saying, Josh, but like I don't. Were people really moving their alarm bot that like were I don't know. It always felt to me like Killjoy was always played in the way that you're talking about, and not ever played in the way that you hypothesize that she should be played.
Before the 40 meter stuff, she was definitely played for info much more often than a site anchor. But after the 40 minute, like that's the big one. I'm just bringing up old wounds here. This change that's in the patch right here is not going to change things massively. But I dislike the direction that they're going with her balance, because it's a continuous track of like you are just erecting a turret, and they might as well make her the fucking engineer from TF2 where you have to sit there with the wrench and whack her repeatedly.
But at least the turret for engineer in TF2, at least that would activate if you weren't close.
Yeah,
you could build on the other side of the map.
And run around.
You can run
with
away.
Your shotgun.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just not a fan of like the design. I think that she's so undynamic when it comes to attack rounds as well, and like that to me is the big thing that changes here, is that you're using your turret to what? Like if you think about her on Ascent, you're using your turret to try and take B main at the beginning of the round, and then maybe you want to pick that up and put it, I don't know, on top of the doors at tiles or something to peak catwalk or whatever. You just you have to wait 20 seconds in between doing anything on attack. Wake me up when Cypher's available. It's dull.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm not mad at any of that. Go off, King.
Let's move on.
Right.
Go off, King.
What's
next?
after K? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, L.
Keep going. I'm on for this.
Loru.
Mercy? Who is the next one? Who is the next one?
Omen.
You got it. Okay.
Omen, fuck yeah, thank you. I couldn't remember whether there were any other.
I saw
Jesus
Omen
Christ.
players rejoicing. There were celebrations in the streets over the paranoia cost going down, and then someone let all of the Omen players know that they have to buy a smoke now on pistol, and so they still just have to spend all their money on abilities, and tragic. But
yeah,
I mean, I think paranoia is an insanely powerful ability. I thought the 400 cost on it was okay, but given that they changed the smokes, decreasing the paranoia by 100, I feel like this has changed absolutely nothing.
please nerf paranoia itself and not just the cost, for fuck's sake.
Well, if they do that, Omen's just never going to see the light of day.
Just make it
I mean,
slightly thinner, so it's not a fucking double-decker bus coming through a wall
but
towards you.
then it's just never going to be played.
You will. You'll still see
No.
Omen being played. It's still
Yeah, in
it's still
life,
Not
fast.
with
TP
this
behind
and
people.
the dark cover change.
Maybe not. Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
because they have
there's-
nerfed the dark cover pretty significantly.
I
But
think that they've
made it cheap. You can buy paranoia and frenzy on a pistol round, and paranoia is still the width.
Yeah, but
of-
then you don't. But then you get one smoke.
yeah.
Yeah.
On
Exactly.
pistol, that's not bad. On pistol, that's not
Yeah,
bad. To be honest. One smoke
it's
is still pretty
okay.
strong.
You telling
Yeah.
me you'd
No,
rather
it's
have
okay.
two
Yeah.
smokes and a frenzy than a frenzy and a paranoia? I might rather have paranoia.
I mean, yeah, it's yeah, that's.
I mean, then
that's
again,
fair.
you can
That's
also
fair,
have
but
paranoia, smoke, and light armor, which might be a better option. But
yeah.
I think the frenzy is just still insanely good. And for what is it, 450 or something? Being able to buy that and paranoia is a very good deal, I would say. Very good deal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The smoke change is the most weird one, though.
I love the smoke change. I fucking love the smoke change, man. No more running into Omens and ranked, and they're dropping two smokes on a eco round. I'm like, what the hell? I'm anti-eco. Like, I can't even use the greatness of why this round is fun to me. Like, I have to just rush them with a fucking Spectre, I guess, in order to get value out of an anti-eco. I hated the fact that they had two smokes. Hate it. So I'm really happy with this.
I think this brings the Brimstone back in the conversation again a little bit. Hear me out. Why?
There we go.
Okay.
Hear me out. Why? This is specifically because of the fact since now Omen has less smokes and is not going to get nearly as many of them, isn't guaranteed to. Having Brimstone with their new change where your smoke could just lock because of the increased duration of the smoke that they added, having the ability to just lock down the choke with just one smoke still brings some value to Brim, particularly on like eco rounds comparatively to like Omen. Like, sure, you don't have the paranoia, right? But like, you will have a smoke that guarantees to sit on a choke for a very long time. And there is now some possibility where I feel like Brimstone could be played since Omen is not going to be constantly refreshing its smokes.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
yeah.
So like, if you
Before
just
we continue,
compare,
remember Astra is in the game.
Yeah.
still.
True.
yes,
I'm just saying
I
Astra is
see
more
your
likely
point.
going to be very meta, but I think Brimstone is not the worst.
I understand. The essence of your point is they both have one smoke, and the Brimstone smoke is superior to the Omen smoke.
Yes.
So that's true. That's an
Yeah.
undeniable fact.
Yes. But it's only on pistols or eco rounds. You don't have many of those in the game, and I feel like most of the time you're just losing that round anyway.
It's a slow climb for Brim back into the game.
slow climb. Slow climb.
One step at a time.
Yeah.
One
I'm
step
just
at a
trying
time.
to be a positive parry over
Okay.
here, you know?
All right, I appreciate that. Well,
One more point on Omen.
Yeah, go on, sorry.
Well, one more point on Omen is that just like Jett with her knives and how she was economically like really, really good, I do think that while we didn't really talk about it, Omen economically was so good. Before the paranoia change, he was absolutely insane. With the paranoia change, he was still insane because he got the two smokes. Comparatively to everyone else, he's literally having two smokes every single round. That is insane value. Not necessarily as obvious as I don't have to buy a gun this round, but still significant. Two smokes on eco rounds
actually-
for any gun rounds, insane.
I need to ask this question as well, because I had just thought about something and I don't understand how it works, even though I've played the new patch. if you're an Omen and you buy your smoke for the round, are they both on cooldown like they used to be? Or is only the one that is the one that you bought, you only use once?
It refreshes one at a time.
Wait, what do you mean?
It refreshes one at a time. It will. Okay, so here's how it works.
Yeah, that's how it always worked.
If you have one smoke, you throw it. It refreshes after 40 seconds. Nothing else happens. It just, you get that. You throw it again. It refreshes after 40 seconds. This time or if you buy 2 smokes, you throw that one. That one will start refreshing after 40 seconds. Or it will start refreshing and it'll come back at 40 seconds. You'll get back up to 2 smokes. If you throw 2, only one refreshes after the first 40 seconds, and then the second one will refresh after another 40 seconds.
So they used to have independent timers, but now they're stacked. So like if you use both your smokes, you only get them both back after 80 seconds.
Did they ever have? Yes, you only get them both back after 80 seconds, but I don't remember that ever not being the case.
Wait, am I lost in the fucking source? I thought that they had independent timers, and it just showed you one timer for which one was coming back first.
Oh, maybe.
That's how I thought it worked.
Maybe. I didn't know that, if that was the case.
Because how you used to play Omen is that if you threw a smoke, it would start the timer for that smoke. If you threw the other smoke, it would start a timer for the other smoke as well.
That's hidden.
But it would hide it, yeah. And so once you got that one back, it would then show the like timer for the other one as well. But it had been ticking in the background. I'm assuming it works the same as it did. But if it doesn't, then that's a major nerf to Omen. But okay, let's move it on.
I'm basing it off of I saw Roy do testing with sky flashes, and that's how I assumed that the Omen smokes worked as well.
Okay. A B C D E F G H I J K L M N O P
Oru
Q R Raise.
No,
Phoenix. Fuck! God damn it!
How do you not know the alphabet?
I do know the alphabet. I just couldn't. When I thought P, I didn't think Phoenix.
Everybody knows it starts with F. I think
Phonics.
I think Phoenix has walked away from this update looking pretty good. I think he's one of the. I didn't get nerfed. I think Phoenix is looking pretty good.
I can't believe they didn't touch Run It Back.
Yeah, run it back untouched. Only 50 more. You're spending 100 more around.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty good.
I think everyone else is assuming that Phoenix is fucked because KO just does his job better. Because he has an ult that's also really powerful for being able to enter into sites. Which, okay, it's slightly more cost, but not to a massive degree. And he also has the like flashes, which are going to be really powerful to pop flash, similar to Phoenix, right? Does KO have the faster re-equip time as well? Because Phoenix flashes have a faster re-equip time back onto your weapon, right? You have the quick equip. Does KO as well? Can you like, when you pop flash yourself in, do you get your rifle out at the same speed? I don't know the answer to that question.
It feels fast.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? But I haven't seen it specifically anyway. I don't know. Anyway,
let me sell you on something here, Josh. You know, people are not going to play Phoenix as much because KO. What if you picked both of them?
No.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
No.
I think yes.
All the flashes after flashes have been nerfed?
Yes.
No. No Jett?
No.
Don't need her. No Jett.
Don't need her.
I wasn't going that far.
That's going to be really interesting, honestly, to be if that actually theoretically, let's say we get to that point. I wonder how the game looks when Jett is not the staple of the meta all the time. It's going to feel very different.
It will, yeah.
Overall.
Yeah. I mean, also, where do you get value out of Operator there? I don't know, man. They still need to fucking do something about Jett's dash because she's just the best character when it comes to Operator.
I was not going that far. Jett is still going to be freaking.
Well, what? You think people are going to play Jett Phoenix KO?
Drop their Sentinel. Both sides are going to play KO, and you just drop the Sentinel because it's fucking useless.
Play Silver Omen or Silver Astra. Okay. I think Cypher's creeping in their way back in. I'd rather have a Cypher than a Phoenix. You still on the Phoenix train?
Maybe. I think Phoenix is just going to be strong. I don't know what I'm not going to claim to know what the fucking ideal meta comp will be, but I think the comps with Phoenix are going to be really good.
Okay.
I think that Phoenix is going to be a really good agent in this meta.
All right. Cool. Moving on. PR. It's got to be Raze. Come on, show me Raze. Yeah. Model
Congrats.
has been updated with a
happy for you.
polish pass.
No, with a Polish pass. Raze is Polish now.
Raze is Polish.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Oh, that's going to be a blow to Brazilian fans. They just released that lore video of Raze as well, with her tending to a boombot, calling it BB, and now suddenly Raze is now Polish. Boombot cost increase, pretty huge here, pretty huge, because even though the average price of like a full buy doesn't go up by that much, it's only an extra 200. Boombot's the kind of thing that you would want a lot. Like, it's a core part of her kit. In the same way that Jett has dash, I feel like Raze has boombot. Not that it's free, but because it kind of defines what she does.
Yeah, I mean, Raze got hit with the old Omen paranoia on pistol treatment as well.
True.
Where if you want the boombot, you're just spending 400. That's a lot of money. So
yeah,
I mean, that is quite. I mean, also when you put it on top of, if you go down slightly lower with the showstopper going up another point, this feels like a pretty big hit. Am I off? I feel like this is a significant hit to Raze, honestly.
This is the death of Raze. This is the death sentence.
The death.
I mean, that was even taking it further than I was thinking.
This is a death sentence.
Do you think this is because my feeling on the showstopper specifically is that as time has gone on since the existence of Raze, which was pretty much just day one of the beta, right? You have seen her ult get less and less and less value over time.
She's like Killjoy.
It was insane at the beginning because people didn't know what they were doing. And then it was slightly less insane 6 months ago when people started to understand what they were doing. And now people have a pretty good idea of what they're doing. And Raze ult typically doesn't get much value. Maybe you get...
Normally goes one for
if you get one and live, that feels pretty sick.
Oh yeah.
The value of showstopper isn't the kill though. The value you every time you pop a showstopper, you get value in some way. Not necessarily a kill, but you get value.
Not against the
It
KO.
is a power ult.
I don't think you would against the
Not
KO
against the
knife
KO.
anymore.
Very, very true.
Yeah, that is also a
Which
factor.
is why I think it's a death sentence, is because you introduce this boombot nerf, you introduce a showstopper nerf, and you add KO into the game at the same time. Like, I don't see a situation where Raze is always at the forefront. It's really easy to know where the hell Raze is at anyways. So it's just like, okay, she pop her, oh, boom, instantly that thing is gone. You need, it has wind up time. It's not like something you could just boom, insta pop too. It's like, if she pops it, KO is in position. Okay, it's gone. So those two factors combined is what makes, I think she'll still be played on the niche maps where she was really, really good, like Split and like Bind. But other than that, I don't see people pulling out Raze that often anymore.
Yeah, she wasn't actually getting even that much playtime on a lot of the other maps recently too.
No, I mean, she was played. She had a really low play percentage at Iceland.
Yeah,
surprisingly low.
A lot of people opting for Jett instead.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that. I think she'll still be viable enough on Split. Yeah, maybe Bind as well, but.
Sova. Fuck, Reyna. I forgot about another R character.
Dude. All right, now it's an alphabet problem.
I skipped like 3 as well. It's Reyna and then Sage and then Sova. I don't know the alphabetical order of all of these, apparently.
Reyna's another one that kind of just slipped through relatively unscathed, but I mean, the massive change to Reyna came months ago.
Yes.
So, I mean...
I think she's fine.
I think she'll be fine for like Icebox and stuff.
When you play Reyna, you're basically suppressed anyway. It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
I don't use abilities. Just click on people.
I mean, the only thing that would matter is like with her ult or something. She can get a kill, but she can't dismiss away or whatever. I guess that's the only thing where you would really be impacted by Reyna against the KO. All right, moving on to set.
I mean, if you are specifically like, I see situations where if you're playing against a KO as Reyna, and that team is really, really good at figuring out like what setups you play, that she could become really, really bad. Because a lot of the reason why she was good was because she could play one and dones. Yeah. But now she can't. If she's going into an engagement with just her gun and she's suppressed, she's just she gets a kill and she dies. There's nothing that she can do about it.
Yeah.
So that's important. I don't think it changes the needle at all, but still think that's important.
That would be a pretty big investment of the knife. You'd have to have info that she was playing there, I feel, in order to invest the knife on like a random corner to check it for the Reyna. But that could definitely have circumstances.
It could definitely shut down early round plays. Since
Yeah.
most of the time, people are just firing. I mean, you just fire off the instant knife anyway because you know you're going to get it back. Oh, great.
Yeah.
There's Reyna right there.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Sage is one of the characters that has been impacted the most in terms of economical
boomed
stuff.
again.
She got.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why
just-
they love just rinsing her every single time.
Yeah.
Slow
Though, I
orbs,
remember last
200.
time they rinsed her, we thought she was rinsed, and then she just had a couple month vacation in Tahiti, came back, and she was bragging out again.
Yeah, but then she still slipped out a little bit. Like her play rate was
Yeah.
not that high at Iceland. It wasn't like
Well, that's
everybody
because
was
the
using
teams who
Sage.
played her like crazy were not playing there.
But
Yeah.
who even played her like crazy? Like some people were
Like,
running her on.
Ascent,
I mean, heretics. Yeah.
Heretics.
Ascent,
NIP.
Yeah,
NIP.
yeah, fair enough. Fair
I mean,
enough.
she still gets a. I mean, she's
There was still a
must
decent
pick
amount
on
of playtime of
Icebox.
Sage, though. There was still a decent amount of playtime at Flynn. Like, there wasn't
Yeah.
like zero by any means.
No, but a lot of that just comes from being a perma pick on Icebox or Split, where
Yeah.
it's the map rather than her. I feel.
But these are some big nerfs. That's
Yeah.
a lot
I mean,
of
particularly
money.
the res nerf. I mean, the res
Why?
nerf where you have to get more ult points. Like, God, like that.
No, so it's all. I swear to God, it's only people who don't play the game who think res is good. It's an okay ultimate, but the fact that it's like so opportunistic, like Cypher's ult, you need to have a dead body in front of you. It needs to be in a resable position, and you need to have the ultimate. It's not like you can stack ult points into your Sage and then craft a strategy around res. You can tell someone to go peek, but it's not a good ult in the same way that run it back or Sover ult or
You can't just have your
whatever
teammate,
else.
hey, go peek, and if you die, it's fine. I'll
Yeah,
res
it's
you.
fine. I'll res you in the open sight line where you died, and I guess I'll just try and hope that I win the duel when they swing. It's not a round-winning ultimate a lot of the time. It's value if you can get in the right spot, but it's not an 8-cost ult. Come
I mean, and
on.
now KO has a res too. So, now KO can res himself or someone can res him. So,
Yeah, that's why you just run KO Phoenix. You have 2 extra lives on
Yeah.
one round. You're 7v5.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Barrier Orb, also 400, getting the paranoia treatment. Can't buy
And
it on
slows
pistols.
are.
I actually quite like that, though. I think that Wall was broken on pistol. I think it's the
it's under
only
the
round
wall.
where it's not. It's just still annoying, even
Sure.
after all of the.
But then
nerfs.
also the slows to 200. Come on. I mean, slow orbs are good, but when you're spending fucking 800 on all your shit,
Yeah,
that's a lot.
it is a
I
lot.
don't know.
I think a lot of
not
people.
a fan. I can understand the wall, sure, but I don't think they should have made the slows.
I think a lot of people
200.
will give up slow orbs. This is one of the characters where people won't want to give up armor. They'll give up slow orbs, and so they'll play with a wall and one slow orb maybe, and then try and get full armor. And that I think is a good state for the game to be in. Like if you're trying to balance abilities like Boombot, where you fucking need them with economy, it just ends up kicking the money down the chain. And like, okay, now Raze is playing with light armor every round. But for Sage, so the slow orb is not as important. So kicking the economy up actually does affect how many you might have online at any time. I think it's okay. I think it's harsh, but
I
it's
don't know.
all right.
Could have made them 150.
Yeah. Yeah, 149.99.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Better price than 200. It's a better price than 200.
All right, let's kick it on. Sova, show me. Fuck,
I'm
dude, what is
it's
going
actually
on?
just unreal, man. It's actually just unreal. You don't understand the alphabet.
I just forget other agents are in the game. I mean, as soon as I thought S, I thought Sova, and there's so many people in between.
Can
All
we,
right, someone-
can we get Mr. Matt X to get him a copy of Hooked on Phonics? Like, this is actually embarrassing.
We need some help here.
Someone needs to walk me through Sky because there are also now there are differences with radiuses, right? With the flashes too. So flashes are now less good at distance as well. Is that a
Yes.
thing?
Well, oh goodness. Well, I think it was like they changed it where I think they changed it in that it's more so they didn't change the vision is changed only because like you can anti-flash it more, but I don't think they've actually reduced how much flash you get from it.
Oh, I thought you
Like-
got less flash from further distance or something. That's what people
No,
were
that's
telling
not
me.
as far as I'm aware. I don't think
All right,
so.
okay. I'm confusing things.
Straight up flashing is nerfed. But
yeah, flashing is nerfed, but I don't think her guiding light specifically is nerfed.
Right, okay, never mind. The dog has eaten its carrots. It can see longer in the dark. It can
Yes.
see further. I don't, again, 1750 to 2250. Does that mean anything to you, math wizard?
a lot, bro. It's a lot.
I mean, it's a,
I
if
know,
you think
yeah.
about it in terms of percentages,
It is
it's
a
a
lot,
lot.
I know
But in
that.
terms of like what that means numerically, who knows? But it doesn't matter because we're talking
Okay.
in relatives.
If you
All
see
right,
it,
here's where you needed to drop the math nerd thing. Basically, you could clear Octagon instead of not being able to clear Octagon without
Couldn't
like
you
you have to
beforehand?
run through the entire thing. Nope.
No,
Oh.
you couldn't clear Octagon beforehand. Yeah, you would be the radius was too
You had
small.
you had to step into Octagon to be able to clear
Ah.
it. But now you
Yeah.
can now you can see it.
Okay, all right.
You just dog straight up long beyond bind and you can see both sides. Just
All
turn
right.
your head.
Concussed for longer as well with a slight cost increase. That's definitely a buff to
Yeah.
Trailblazer.
Yeah.
that is a buff.
But the guiding light changes are where the real buffs come through because the biggest thing being that you don't have to go kapew to pop the flash. You can just do it with your gun out. I don't know how to describe that properly, but previously you couldn't pop the flash at the same time as shooting, and now you can, which is a massive, massive buff.
Yeah, she doesn't have the animation anymore. So your gun is out the entire time. You just press E and boom, it triggers and your gun's still out. She doesn't have to honk the horn or whatever the hell it was she was doing. It's like
I do
like that.
I do like that the charges. I like in general the charges being reduced on a lot of these flashes as a general statement. I think that the 3 flash experiment that has seemed to have run its course with Breach and Sky. It was another thing where it's just not particularly fun to play against just spam flashes.
Yeah.
They should be more calculated, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that feels like a more fun game to play in rather than you are just getting nuked by flashes. They're being used very haphazardly because they have them to spare. So I think the 2 charge for flashes is a good place to be with it. Now that being said,
The 40-second cooldown.
are they too good? And yeah, is the refresh, is that too much? And also, how the thing that is keeping this in check, I feel though, is the cost of the charge going up by so much.
Oh, I thought
Yeah,
you were going to say the audio attenuation. Like,
What does
The
that
audio
mean, by the
attenuation,
way?
yep.
What does that mean, Balla?
I genuinely don't know.
Audio
Because to me-
attenuation when cast.
Because to me, I'm
reduced.
thinking immediately like the sound that the flash is making while she's flying through. I guess this is when cast. So yeah, actually, I don't know whether it's when it pops or whether it's while it's flying through. Because Sky was really really easy for me to just turn because you just hear like the entire time.
Mm.
But it says audio attenuation decreased, which means that the sound
it's quieter.
is quieter.
Right.
Oh no, audio and attenuation when cast reduced. That's the opposite way. Attenuation means that they're decreasing the sound. So this is, I don't fucking know, man. You're talking I've been out of engineering
Yep.
for 4 years, man. Like fucking, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Dude, I have no idea.
Attenuation, the reduction of or the value of something. So if they're reducing the value of the sound, they're
No, they're reducing the
value of the
reduction.
They're
attenuation.
reducing the reduction. Okay, why? So that
Audio
means they made it
reduction
louder?
has been
Just
reduced.
making it louder.
Yes.
That's what I
Making
thought.
it louder.
Wait.
Yes.
By
The audio-
almost 3 times.
Audio attenuation.
But
So
what,
is
what
it-
was
but
the
which
original
part of
audio
the
attenuation?
Which part of the audio are they increasing? Is it like the? Is it going to be like?
has to be the-
Is it going to be like Birdemic, where all the birds are flying, you hear the wings flapping in your fucking ears, or like is it the sound of like when it actually goes off and it's like?
I mean,
the
no, I think
caw?
it's the sound of it guiding, of it traveling around a corner before it pops.
But what attenuation did they have?
3,200.
They had it.
No,
Attenuation?
I don't mean the fucking value.
oh.
I
What do you mean? What do you
in
mean?
what way was that audio being reduced previously?
By distance, by by
you
travel.
So
talking
you're able to hear the wings from across half the map?
Stop. Yes, that is a possibility. You might hear the wings flapping is going to be louder. That's all you need to know because it's not by something. It's just by the number. You attenuate it by a certain amount.
But why was it attenuated?
Because that's just how the program works, my man. That's how it
Because
works.
they thought
Let's just
that it
move
would
on.
be-
Let's just move on from this topic. Let's get out of here. Let's just
I
get
don't
out of
know
here.
what
Hey,
to
it's
say about
Sova,
that.
Josh.
Yeah.
Look.
So Sky anyway seems like she's had a massive buff. So moving on, Sova. There's my favorite character, Sova. Shock darts. They've been increased in cost. Okay, that doesn't seem to me to make a major difference. Shock darts already were very, very cheap, but they're kind of niche. I don't
They
know.
also were ability like slow orbs where they're going to be drops no matter
Absolutely.
anyways, right?
Absolutely. Recon Bolt goes up to 40 seconds. Again, like Balla was saying before, everything's now at 40 seconds. The Owl Drone being increased to $400. This is another important one because it's a bit like the Boombot where you've taken, and the Wall as well, you've taken an ability that is defining to the agent and you've made it cost more. And also the ultimate being increased to 8 is just... I think this is a good one, though, because I think Sova's ult was maybe the best ult in the whole game. As maybe you could argue Run It Back for the price point was the best ult, but Hunter's Fury is insanely good. The amount of stuff you can do with that ultimate is crazy. And I think putting it to 8, it just makes sense.
I'm fine with all this. Yeah. I mean, I think it's just necessary. Sova's busted.
He needed a nerf.
I mean, Sova
yeah.
is just busted. They needed to
But
do something.
he's not busted in these ways, though. It's not because his ult, like, yeah, sure, his ult is good. His Owl Drone is very, very good. It's not the price of the Owl Drone that
No.
makes it good. It's the fucking ability in itself. Same thing with the Recon Bolt. Like, literally, those two abilities in itself still keep him busted, no matter how much they cost.
But
And
that's,
Recon Bolt,
that was my point with
free.
the economy before. I don't think the economy is a good way of shifting characters like this. Because what do you do to Sova now? Okay, maybe you have to buy a light armor one round. Maybe you have to save an extra round or something like that. But you're not actually changing the impact he has in a round. Like when he has a full buy or when he's winning, Sova is still going to be as good as he ever was. The only difference maybe is that you get one less ult in a half or something because you can't quite get up to the 8 again. But overall, they just tweak the abilities that are overpowered, not the cost of the abilities. Nevertheless, I mean, you can't argue with any Sova nerf, in my opinion, because he's the best character in the game. He's just insane.
Yep.
What comes after us?
You good over there?
A, B, C, D, E, F, G. By the way, I have to start at the beginning every time. A, B, C, D, E,
I do
F, G,
too,
H, I,
don't
J,
worry.
K, L, M, N, P, Q. I forgot what Q was.
R, S, T, U, V.
Wait, is there another S, though? Is this a trick question? No, probably not. T. Tampa.
Thomas.
There's no way.
Wait, give me a second.
Whoa, there's no way, right? We just watched Iceland not that long ago, man.
I just kicked my water over. There's water all over the floor.
Oh my god.
that
There's
bottle
just
is
no way.
sopping.
It's Viper. It's Viper. It's Viper. The character that defined the map at Iceland, the only V.
That bottle is sopping wet. Josh has run to go get a towel. This
It's
is
okay. Let's talk about this
we've had a
while
tragedy in the
Josh is
studio.
gone.
It's a nightmare for our
You
janitorial
want to
team.
start us? About
Anyhow,
Let's just move on to while Josh does that shit. Snake bite duration reduced.
Good.
So that's nice.
That
Outer
is
edges
nice.
of the acid patch form faster to ensure it is lethal if an enemy sits the entire duration. So it'll do more damage if you're like sitting in it quicker.
yeah,
the cost-
just don't sit in it the whole time.
Just so send it.
You'll be
And then the
fine.
cost was increase. So pretty much this is just for post-plant meta shit. It's like, yeah, you might die a little bit faster to it, but it doesn't last as long and it costs more.
Wait a second. Okay. All right.
What
No,
is
I'm
wrong
good.
with you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
I don't think this moves the needle.
Not at all?
Not at all.
Why would it move the needle?
I mean, it's changed it for 2. I mean, that takes off 2.5
Just the-
seconds though.
Just the duration?
Yeah.
I feel like the Viper's power is when you are also combining it with the smoke in the post plant too. And the window of
true.
time that you're using it towards the end. I don't know, man.
Dare I say, the real problem with Viper is the vulnerability.
The vulnerability, maybe. I think you.
I mean, I still think it's. I mean, couldn't you still argue it's the decay for the smoke? But
I think there's much larger things that you could do to Viper. I mean, they state themselves they've seen a massive resurgence in Viper's popularity and power, and I think that there's all of those stealth buffs that they had over time were part of this, and I think that why is this the first?
Actually, sorry, I'm about to go on a tirade.
Yeah, go on.
I know I just cut you off.
No,
but
please.
Now that I'm thinking about it more, I just hate the vulnerabilities in this game in general. I don't like the vulnerability. It's not. It's again. It's one of those things that it's just they tack it onto an ability. It's not fun to interact with. You just die faster from getting shot in the body.
Yeah,
it's not fun to interact with at all.
No,
it doesn't provide anything particularly interesting. It's just tacked on to abilities that are already good, and it just takes them over the top.
Yeah, suck, alarm bot. What else? The Viper mollies.
Yeah.
All of those things would be good on their own. They just also have vulnerability because people couldn't. They couldn't figure out how to balance them to be good enough. I guess.
Having
it's
two
kinda
mollies is already crazy. I mean, I would like to see the vulnerabilities in this game reduced. It's
to me as well. The reason that I'm saying that I don't think this changes the needle that much is that for all the stuff that was gone on about Viper in the post plan, and Viper in post plan is super good, she's also crazy powerful just generally on defense. And that's where you get the majority of your value out of the Viper. Unless you're playing Icebox where everything is just a post plan simulator, most of the time you're not just playing Viper like a bot for post plans. You're still finding value from the rest of her kit too. So the fact that they haven't even tried to alter any of the rest, they've made big nerfs to a range of other characters that haven't even been in the meta that much. And yet Viper, the character that's terrorizing all levels of play right now, the only thing they change that is significant is they make it 1.5 seconds less on the molly. That's crazy to me. Like, you added 30 damage whenever someone touches Viper utility. And that's just staying. All of this stuff is just staying. That you stealth added over months and months. It's wild. I think it's wild.
I think it moves the needle a little bit to slightly less post plant because of the duration alone. Yeah, it does more damage or whatever, but a lot of the ways, like you think about how Fnatic was playing against post plant, they were just kind of really, really well timing it, which makes that a little bit more effective with 1.5 seconds less. I mean, think about the amount of defuses that come down to, even with post plant, that come down to like X seconds.
They do. Yeah.
I think that does kind of change that, and if teams are really, really clever and playing around the timing, they could be better against post plant, which is really good because that means the better teams are now better. The other thing too is that I find that her molly being less timed and also expanding faster, basically doing the same amount of damage. Like, they didn't change the amount of damage total over the entire snake bite, if I understand Lothar's tweet correct. So using her for executes is actually stronger now, because whenever she, like, think about Fnatic's execute on A on bind, right? The way that they use it on back default and they use it close bench, like, those specifically they will kick people out of that position much faster, do a lot more damage in that time, and they're also vulnerable now. So I feel like people should be using it more for the executes and more throughout the round and whatever than using it for post plant.
Yeah,
so
that's a fair
those
point.
two points maybe will shift the needle on post plants enough that it won't be intolerable.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Yoru. Right?
Nice.
yes,
Hell
you were
yeah.
correct.
Thank you. The reason I got snarled up, though, on the previous one I've asked, is because I thought there was a character in the game that began with T. I just got trolled.
Right.
If you had said V,
Yeah,
I would have said
tens.
Viper, obviously. Tens, yeah.
Tens. Yep.
Tens.
Mhm.
You said that Phoenix came out of this looking all right, and Reyna as well. How does Yoru look?
I knew you were.
How does Yoru look?
I just knew. Well, I mean, he hasn't changed, essentially.
Is that good?
I mean,
No.
No.
This is a gate crash nerf is bad. Like that's bad.
Yeah, but everything's now 40 seconds, right? So it's just keeping it in line with all the other stuff
I mean,
in
it's
the
more
game.
of
Yeah,
you've
but
nerfed
why?
an agent that's not good already. The agent's been
Okay,
nerfed and it's already not good.
Here's a more interesting discussion that I'm going to pose, and we don't need to stick on Yoru for an hour and a half. But what would need to be changed about Yoru to make him a bit more viable? And again, it's not to viper him into the meta, but okay, Yoru could be a niche pick that works, because right now he's a niche pick that doesn't.
To me, you either rework his footsteps ability so that he has something either that disguises team footsteps for 5 seconds or something like that would be insanely powerful, or you make his gate crash quicker to activate so that you can use it almost like a jet dash to escape from somewhere. And that would immediately pop him into the meta. And in an annoying way. I'm not saying that would be good for the game, but that would be immediately he is viable if you just make Gate Crash activate a bit better. I would much rather them, though, look at the footsteps ability and take it out the game.
Yeah.
Look at what it should do and fix it.
Wyatt, you just if the footsteps hit you, it makes you vulnerable because you're scared.
You got to kick up the ass from his virtual feet and become vulnerable.
What if instead of footsteps, it was like Mirage from Apex, where he sent out like a hologram or something, and you actually and you I'm shooting the Yoru, but then actually he's somewhere else, and he teleports behind you or something. Like maybe that could work. I
mean, that would also be incredibly powerful because you would just trade the Mirage of yourself. And you would use it like a boombot or whatever, but that would still
and it could
make
still have
him
footsteps
viable
as well and everything. So I think that would be possible.
Or even like you could give the Mirage different footsteps so that people can try if they have enough time or patience to discern which one is which, or they just try and shoot at both. Whatever. There are things that you could do with the character to make him very, very viable quite easily, and instead, just make the gate crash 40 seconds and we'll rework him later, I guess. It definitely feels like they need to go back to the drawing board on something.
One of the reasons, though, I'm freaking out about the 40 seconds thing is that, like, why are they making it? I was like hype about the fact that they made the Sova dart and also the knife 40 seconds and stuff like that. Stuff like that where the abilities are similar makes sense, but the gate crash is nowhere near similar to that. So why does it have to be tied to a cooldown time with the smokes and with the info?
So that people only have to think of things in 45-second increments, I guess. I don't know. It just feels like a simplification. Also, though,
we're
people
math
would
nerds. We can do it. Believe in your community.
Yeah, Balla wants it set to 38.75 seconds, and he's going to track it to the millisecond. It feels like this whole patch was designed to take abilities down a notch, make them more expensive, nerf them in some ways, make gunplay powerful. You've added KO. A lot of the community is happy about this, at least in theory. They like the theory of the game being more about gunplay. So yeah, we'll see how it works out. I guess it kind of aligns stuff with that. Whatever. Overall, still feeling like it's a good patch.
Hell yes. This ain't even like a hesitation.
Yeah.
This is a hell yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good patch still.
Weapon changes. That's up next. And these, we've gone through most of them already. So we don't have to spend too much time on these. But there are weapon updates. The cost of different weapons has been altered slightly. They're now using 50... I don't even know what the cost number is. Is it dollary dues or something? Credits. Okay. They're now using 50 credit increments as well.
Seemed like an inevitability, honestly.
But this is the most important stuff, what Kurt's got up right here, which is I did not know that this was a thing, tag into accuracy, which was that when you got tagged, you got slowed to 75% of your speed or something, or you got tagged to 25% of your speed, I think. And that made you accurate. When you got shot, you were slowed enough that you became accurate. You no longer had the walking accuracy or running accuracy penalty. So when you would shoot someone and they just turn around and flick you and it looked like they were just running and gunning you, you were helping them kill you by shooting them because you were slowing them down enough that they became accurate. So they've now fixed this. Tagging, well, fixed. They've now made it so that tagging is not as powerful. So you're not slowing down your opponents as much. which means that they are still inaccurate unless they deliberately let go of their movement keys to slow themselves down as well. That seems like a really positive change to me. That's almost like an unintended side effect of their mechanics, I feel. Like an oversight from them, almost.
That seems like such a massive... I mean, I already knew that this was a thing already, but when you think about it, that's such a massive flaw in how the game should work, where you're losing the fight, but because you're losing the fight, you're actually winning the fight. This is good. Like, how... That, to me, I'm just thinking like, holy shit, like this entire time we've been playing on a broken game.
Yeah.
Is that not what that is?
I feel like it, yeah.
I mean, essentially, yeah, it's just like a massive, it's an oversight of something that like one of those nitty gritty like values when they intersect, you're like, holy shit, this literally changes everything.
Yeah. Very correct. These are some good changes though that they made in regards to the accuracy and everything. And also, yeah, I'm not a fan of, or rather wasn't a fan of how much you would get slowed by shot anyhow.
It is only a 2.5% change. So I'm not sure you'll notice it outside of the fact that it no longer has that intersection that Avast was saying. So the Venn diagram no longer crosses.
Yeah.
But will you as a player notice being slowed 72.5% instead of 75%? I would argue probably not. But there might be some instances where you feel like you're not as slowed.
Yeah, perhaps. That very well may be true. But I think even a small step in that direction is nice. I'm at least personally, I'm not a fan of the severe tagging. So I'm very into that. Do they have the other? Was there more? There was more, right? In regards to running accuracy. Oh, here we go.
The running accuracy has been unchanged, though.
But it's walking, right? Yeah, it's walking
accuracy.
Yeah.
So they've made it more difficult to walk and shoot. Now, that isn't something that people were necessarily abusing deliberately, I feel, but it's something that would happen almost like accidentally. As you're coming to a stop, you would benefit from the accurate walking speed. I know that I would, because my counter strafes are dog shit.
What was the walking speed in compare? Like,
or rather, the walking accuracy. Is that what you mean?
No, the walking speed. Like what? Because
I have no idea.
Hacking reduces you to 72.5% of your speed or whatever it is. So what was the walking speed in comparison to running?
If you scroll up a little bit, Kurt, they explain it a bit with the dead zones. So, sorry, down to the first paragraph there. Yeah, right there. It says the weapon dead zone used to be 30%, 30% speed. You would be perfectly, or you would have walking accuracy, I guess. So if you were above 30%, I don't know why they represent it as percentages. It's very confusing, but.
Well, now you want the speed units.
Yeah,
I don't want any
they
math.
They don't really delineate
math, no
where
alphabet.
the dead zone is. The dead zone, like that's the weird thing
That's
here.
not necessarily the walking speed, but that is including walking.
That is including walking, I believe. So
it's somewhere between 0% and 30%. All right.
Yes.
All right. Cool.
Yeah, somewhere around there. You are perfectly accurate.
My brain.
And yeah, then there's a bunch of different price changes as well. But the important thing too is that the rifle walking speed has been changed, but also the SMG running accuracy. Sorry, rifle walking speed has not been changed. Rifle walking accuracy has been changed. For SMGs, though, running accuracy has been changed. So you can't just run around with a Spectre as much as you previously would have been able to do, which was, I mean, it was the best way of playing with that gun, was actually just running around, shooting.
Yeah.
At close range,
Fine.
anyway.
I like
It's
running
still
around
gonna be
with
the
my
same.
SMG. Yeah. It's
not a significant change, honestly. It's like a decent change, but it's like compared to when you look at the values that have been increased for the walking accuracy for other things, like even for SMGs, like the running inaccuracy has not been drastically changed. But theoretically, you should already be relatively inaccurate while running to begin with, because you're up outside of that, you're in the dead zone already. So a small value increase should make it larger.
The thing is, though, too, anytime you're running with the SMG, you're at short range, where it doesn't actually make that much difference. Like inaccuracy is much more important at long range, where you're trying to take rifle fights. With SMGs, you're fucking running around people who are 2 meters away from you, 3 meters away from you. You're still going to be pretty accurate.
unless that value was massive.
Sure.
Right? And that value is not massive, because what this value represents, I believe, is the like spread, like what's the possible spread of bullets. So every gun has some level of inaccuracy, no matter whether you're standing still or whatever. I think I don't know if that's exactly correct. I think the Phantom might be pretty accurate at standing speed, but in any case, like, these are not significant outside of when you're moving from like the order of between 0.1 and 1 to something higher than that. Outside of that, like 0.5 doesn't really change that much in my
The
mind.
only
Yes,
thing
it does make it makes it more inconsistent, so it's not going to work. Like, the value of that play of running with an SMG is slightly less because it is more inconsistent, so it's not always going to work for you.
The only thing that I noticed playing the new patch was that walking or crouch walking with the Ares or Odin now feels like your aim is going everywhere. The walking accuracy with the...
Is that a tactic you used often?
Okay.
The crab walk with the Odin?
No.
Oh, my whole style's been nerfed.
No.
I'll never make it down at
I
Platinum
did
now.
know people like that.
But I don't use the Ares very often, and I was playing Sova for one of my only recent times, and I
Were
picked
you
up the
playing
Ares, and
Were you playing Ascent?
What, sorry?
Were you playing Ascent, you dirty little...
I was playing Ascent. Yeah, of course I was playing Ascent. And I had to use my Ares in a retake on A, and I crouched and crab walked because I have terrible habits of doing that. And my spray went everywhere, and I was like, holy shit, this is unusual. And then I look at the patch note, and it's changed from 0.5 to 2.4, which is... like a times 5 inaccuracy.
That's crazy, actually.
Like, that is
Wait, for
absurd.
just the Ares and the Odin?
For the heavies, which is just Ares and Odin,
I missed
right?
that.
I mean, I guess Operator is a heavy as well, is it? Probably. Or maybe Guardian is because it has high pen. I think it's just Ares and Odin, though.
Yeah,
Actually, to be fair, like, if that is affecting the operator, it might be because, dude, when you're using the op and you like, I know they nerfed it already, but the walking, like, trust me when I say, like, I'm moving half the time. I'm taking shots at people and I'm still hitting them. I feel like, but maybe I'm just a god counter strafer.
Yeah, you might just be a god.
That is a wild 0.5 to 2.4.
Pretty big, isn't
Holy
it?
shit.
Yeah.
All right, what else is there?
The rest is the price point changes.
Okay.
Are there any price point changes that people particularly want? Oh, well, the classic
Judge.
as well, actually. And they changed.
Yeah, the judge has to be talked about. I think it's worth to maybe talk about the bulldog even.
Okay.
But
Yeah, the bulldog is massive.
All right.
yeah.
Does this alter the judge? For me, that is a significant price increase.
Yeah.
I
mean, well, it's
I
not just
agree.
a price increase. They also nerfed it a bit. So.
Yeah, they nerfed it at long range, which I think is a good thing to do. But I don't know, man. My problem with the judge is that it's untradeable at close range. That is my biggest problem because it one-shots and it shoots so quickly. You literally can't swing fast enough to punish a judge player when you're playing at close range. And there are certain parts of the map where you can't get range on the guy because he's just tucked himself into hookah or market or mailroom or something. And I feel like you need a way of being able to trade out.
Yeah, the best part of this game is teamwork. And when you have a gun that literally just nullifies teamwork, it's just such bullshit. Like, especially when it costs 60, even 1850. I mean, I'm not a guy who's going to buy the judge anyways because I already found that it was too expensive.
Yeah, you have self-respect.
Yeah, exactly. Like but they're the people who buy that shit. Yo, they're still like, I don't think the 250 credits changes anything. I think there's still something in their mind psychologically that's going to want to make them want to go for the judge.
It does make it a little more crippling on like an eco round or something, especially with the status of the economy in total, where you're going to want to go for less force rounds and
You
that
won't be
kind
able
of
to go for
stuff.
light armor on full reset rounds where you only have 2,000 credits, right?
Yeah. So I think this does something, but I don't think. Again, I feel like it's an economical change instead of a balance change. I know that there are balance patch changes in there, which are good because the judge at long range was bullshit. But I also want there to be a way of trading, whether that's it does less damage, so it requires 2 shots to kill, or 1 shot to kill, but it's slightly longer on the boom, boom, boom. so that
Yeah.
you can trade.
I mean, they even say we
something.
want the judge to be a devastating, multi-fragging, close-range option.
Why? Why do you want
Yeah.
that, Riot?
And
Why
if they do
that?
want that, it probably actually should be more expensive than 1850. I mean, it should be like you're either
Especially with
getting a
these maps.
judge or a bulldog.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. All right, then. Let's talk about the Bulldog. Avast. Run me through the Bulldog.
I mean, it just they increased the fire rate for hipfire, so it shoots a little bit faster, and then they decreased the price. So I think they're just trying to bring it more in line for like a sort of eco buy for a rifle, and I think it sort of does. I think with the price change and the slight buff, it brings it in line a bit for more being like an actual eco choice versus buying like a Spectre, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. I mean, one thing we just never saw was a player sacrificing getting a Phantom or a Vandal to get this, the secondary rifle, like the less superior rifle of the Bulldog, in order to get the rest of their abilities. But maybe that's something we'll actually begin to see. Like
people used to, well, people did it a tiny bit. I know that.
I mean,
They did it with Spectres, not Bulldogs.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I
almost-
mean.
Almost
yeah.
ubiquitously.
So maybe there's, I think that would be, I think that's a good space for this tier of guns to exist in is, okay, I can't get the Phantom or the Vandal, but we are playing a rifle round. I also need to get my abilities. I will get the Bulldog.
Yeah. That's where it should have lived.
Right. So hopefully that puts it more in that space.
Yeah. Your cat is invading your private space.
She just jumped on me with full nails out. She usually doesn't do that. She needed to climb, and I wasn't giving her enough space.
All right.
Bulldog is legit. This sentence, the Bulldog was feeling slightly underpowered in close mid-range situations, was straight up my feeling about the gun. Like I felt like when I bought it on anti-ecos on like Icebox or something, I would just ace every time. But when it was not Icebox and I'm playing Haven and I buy the Bulldog, I'm just like, oh, I just die. And I prefer the Spectre in all cases, close range and even mid range, to be honest. So hopefully this changes something.
I mean, the fact that it was a rifle and so you couldn't like run and gun with it, but you could with the Spectre, it makes such a big difference. All right, moving down the list. Are there any other big ones that we want to touch on here as well? There's obviously some price changes to a bunch of these things, but I don't personally feel that it moves the needle significantly on.
I think the Stinger one is kind of interesting.
But down to 950.
Yeah, it feels like a pretty significant.
I think they did a good job with the
but-
Stinger nerf previously, though. It doesn't feel like a ridiculous weapon anymore, at least to me.
I think this makes it a little bit more viable, I guess is my only.
Yeah, but if
the
the price
Marshall-
gets too low, then it will become Stinger meta again.
Right. I think this, it's moved closer to the line of too low, but I think it's still in the area of, okay, this
Agreed.
is viable, but it's not going to get outrageous yet.
Yeah.
But if they do anything further, we're back in.
Don't forget that it
Stinger
got nerfed
season.
again. Like it literally is nerfed again because of the changes to the SMGs.
Right.
So.
I'm looking at the Bucky and the Marshall, honestly, because these are now getting down to the price point of a Sheriff. And so you're buying a Bucky or a Marshall for a similar price if you're going for an like half buy round, especially when you think about the economy changes where things should be more punishing for the team that's losing and taking those. I think that Bucky Marshall could be very reasonable options rather than
think
going
Marshall
for the
in
Spectre that you
particular.
would normally be able to go for.
When you think about it, like Marshall was already getting so much more time, even in like before this patch. And now you've had the ability where it's decreased in price. You have more expensive abilities, so there's a chance for people to have less armor.
Yeah.
I think Marshall looking kind of good.
Marshall also
Maybe.
pairs well with pistols too. If you can marshal someone in the body and have the rest of your team finish them off with pistols, it's theoretically a decent move. So
Marshall, if especially in that situation, is where it just becomes so deadly for forced buy rounds. Like so good. There was a point in the meta in CS where scouts were not used at all. But once they really understood the value of getting 1 or 2 tags on the other side for free from long range, it just boom skyrocketed. People would literally do like a Russian buy for getting like device a Marshall, for example. Shit is nice. I think this doesn't change much to me though. 50 credits, like maybe it pairs well with some of the agents that have abilities that are on the 50 credit tiers, but other than that, like Tens is still going to buy a Marshall anyways, and nobody else.
Yeah, exactly. Can you hit the head? If so, you can go for a Marshall. The operator change we've already talked about previously as well. Although obviously the most important weapon price point change, I think, taking it down to 4,700 makes it so much more viable. It might not seem like it, but it really will be. Like 4th round operators are now going to be really common compared to what were previously. So yeah, I can absolutely see it being in the game a lot more. Other than that, that's pretty much all of the weapon updates, I believe, right?
And then balance updates.
Yeah, and now it's just gameplay updates overall.
Good lord.
This patch was enormous. People were talking about it like it was Valorant 2. Yeah. It really was like a massive update, worthy of the 3.0 name. So patch 3.0 gameplay updates, that's what we're going up to into now. First of all, the gameplay updates. No, sorry.
God, you're all right. Keep going. Keep going.
What?
What is happening?
What's going on here?
Yeah,
what's going on? I'm just
Josh
hearing
finally
laughter.
learns the
And there's
alphabet,
just...
and
I was saying to them, he doesn't know the alphabet, but he's going to make fun of my typo.
Genuinely learns the alphabet
hilarious.
10 minutes ago. Already criticizing others. Unbelievable. There we go. Competitive updates.
Right. Well, this is just a bunch of vague shit. Like, this is just... I mean...
Wait, but what do you mean vague?
I mean, it's all vague.
What do you mean vague?
You're reading the patch notes as like...
At all skill
What do you mean? I don't...
Without getting too much into the
they
secret source. Yeah, they don't want to drown us in the secret source, so instead, they just put down things like, we want to improve individual performance evaluation. Okay, what does that mean?
I think that's a good change.
You don't know what the change is.
I think that's a good idea for a change.
This feels more like I agree with you. This feels more like a blog post than anything that should be.
Well, it's probably because if they want to really put down, I feel like for a lot of stuff when it comes to like matchmaking things, like matchmaking, honestly, like 20 to 30%. I feel, at least from looking from the, obviously as not having been in a game dev role, but looking from the outside in, someone that's worried about it a lot, it's placebo shit to like make players feel like they are experiencing something different, because that's like so much of like experience stuff is like you got to make them feel like it's like this, even though it doesn't change anything. And then the rest of it is like algorithmic stuff, and like what are they going to do? Are they going to put out their fucking proprietary algorithm here and like start talking knowledge and shit and showing like here's our sorting methods? Like, they're not going to like fully disclose all that.
Yeah. And anyway, as a main kind of summary of this, they've made some changes to ranked matchmaking. They think they're improvements. If they work as described, they should be improvements. There's nothing really more to say, in my opinion. It's just them trying to improve their matchmaking system.
They did. Well, they made some rank changes, right?
Yes.
If we scroll 1, 2, and 3 again, I saw that.
Can we scrolly?
The only change really that's like very obvious is that they made it so that you could place into Diamond 1.
Right.
Instead of Plat 3.
Where is this? It must be so much further down.
It's at the very bottom of this paragraph right here.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Placements raised to Diamond 1. This should help reduce the grind for our players at the top. I can't remember what it was before. Was it Plat 3?
Plat 3.
Plat 3. Yeah.
Does that?
I think that's actually that's reasonable if you're like at the Immortal Radiant level. I think that's a very reasonable change.
Well, but why? It's just so arbitrary, anyways. Like,
it's arbitrary, but I mean, like, I feel like it's one of those things where they're making a change where it feels less grindy, right? Because you're starting Diamond versus Plat, and
it's
so like
perception.
It's the whole thing is the perception of it, because that's so much about matchmaking stuff is like people feeling a certain way.
People were pissed in the previous one. I don't know whether you can cast your mind back and remember.
I remember.
But when the pros were in Plat, and then people were saying that like new accounts were getting there faster, old players were being able to get there because they weren't getting matched against the old pros, so all of the top ladders were just filled with old Plat players.
The hidden elo was doing the thing.
And most of that's probably bullshit. Most of that is probably bullshit.
It is bullshit. It is all bullshit. It's all leveled out exactly like the Riot people understand, is that the system levels out. But because of exactly what Avast said earlier, it's all feeling, literally all feeling. And this doesn't change that. They're gonna have the same complaints. Literally, there's gonna be fucking Diamond 3 players who are going to get to Radiant at the beginning of the act, and they're going to be like, what the fuck is this guy doing? He's not even in their game, by the way, because the hidden MMR is not placing him in their game. He's just on the leaderboard for whatever reason. And yeah, that sucks, but give it a week and it's changed.
And then, and then at the end of the season, it's
Diamond 2.
The rank 1 is like, who was it, like Crashies or something at the end of the season?
Yeah, it was Crashies.
Like, it all kind of works out.
Who was it? Who was he racing with? It was Crashies and Victor, was it?
And Moose, I think?
Moose.
Oh,
Yeah, Moose from LG.
Okay.
Yeah.
If we scroll down further, though, I think there was some other things to be able to
Performance.
tap into here as well, right?
Oh,
It was
the big one is round roll back. I mean, performance is great.
Okay.
But it's literally just 6%. Like, I don't know what that means.
but that's kind of cool because their most recent update, they said 1% performance update, and they were like, we've really done some good optimization here, and it's resulted in a 1% performance improvement. This is 6%. I think that's pretty decent.
7% over the last 3 weeks.
That's not bad. That's not bad. All right.
Yeah.
Scrolling down again, and we've got the social updates are actually good. If you haven't had the opportunity to hop into Valorant, previously, if you had a bunch of people on your friends list and you wanted to know what rank they were, you would have to right-click on them, view career, and see what their most recent rank was. Now, as you just hover over their names on the side panel, you can see their most recent rank and potentially other things that they'll add over time into that pop-out panel that comes up. I felt like the social integration and the friends party dynamic in Valorant has been really bare bones since the game released. And so anything they can do to make that situation better is good to me. They've also improved the kill feed a lot. This now looks clean as fuck, in my opinion.
I like it a lot, too.
I thought there was going to be more there.
No, I just like it a lot.
I mean,
too.
like
there's
it a
not
lot.
much else to say, right? It's clean.
fucking-
It looks
it's
nice.
clean, it's crispy.
It shows
Great
assists.
graphic design.
I mean, assists being shown on the scoreboard is huge.
I like the player the agent
assists are
portraits
actually
look nice.
assists are going to be cool here a bit because also it's going to help broadcast as well because a lot of the times it's tough to tell sometimes to see the interaction. Like generally you'll be able to know just from looking at it, but I feel like having the assist on the board.
Why are
is
you
good for
shaking your
broadcast.
head, Balla?
What's wrong? What?
Because
You don't think so?
What the fuck does an assist mean? Like,
It's
genuinely,
damage or
it means
abilities.
so
Yeah.
many things. It's damage.
No, but that'll help narrow it down when you don't see.
It's you got rezzed. It's so many things that you literally have no clue what it's telling you. Literally no clue.
The biggest areas I can see it helping broadcasters are when someone sometimes casters are confused whether something was like a tripwire or a recon dart. So they see someone getting lit up and they don't know who to give the credit to. And then they'll look at the assist and it'll say Cypher or Sova and they'll be able to say that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it'll be like they didn't know whether, I don't know, what else is there in the game? Someone was vulnerable, I guess. I don't fucking know. What other assists are there that would be important to call out?
You get Sage res and you go get a kill and you get Sage gets an assist.
We're just getting
Yeah.
healed
Like-
by the sage.
Or if you just get healed, yeah. But
If
if
you
they're
get healed,
flashed
yeah.
as well, right? If they're flashed by the breach,
I
kind of
love
thing.
this. This is great. I love this. I don't think that this changes much right now because down the line I'm hoping that there's a little flash assist icon or a little molly assist icon or whatever it is that tells you exactly what's going on. Like if Cypher neural thefts and somebody kills him 5 seconds later or whatever, he gets an assist.
yeah, that is kind of weird. Also, these little icons in the kill feed as well to show when someone's killed an ulting Phoenix, when someone's revived, those kind of things. They're really cool. I love that they're fleshing this out. It looks like a much cleaner.
Wait, it pops up if you kill
the Phoenix ult.
There's a kill feed now for destroying the Phoenix ult.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
and it says
That's
specifically
great.
thank
that it's
God,
Phoenix
man.
ult.
Finally.
Yeah.
Oh,
So what? Now you can feel
'Cause it wouldn't even
justified.
show up in the. It wouldn't
No,
even show
because
up in the kill feed.
it's because people on your team don't say shit. That's what would drive me
yes.
crazy. I know the Phoenix ult is coming in, and I don't know if it's broken or not. And then
Right.
my team, the Killjoy who's anchoring the site with me, doesn't say that they destroyed the Phoenix ult.
Right.
So then I'm playing like I'm about to get rushed down, and then I'm out of position, and then it all spirals out of control, and we lose the fucking game. And I'm hard stuck because the Killjoy never called that they killed the Phoenix ult. But now I know.
Okay, and now you're not going to be hard stuck anymore, right?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. What else have they done? They've also made some changes to the HUD, the minimap too. They've color-coded a bunch of different stuff. I don't know whether they even put that in the patch notes, but it's just something that I noticed playing yesterday. All of the camera, the cipher cam and stuff are color-coded much more visibly than they previously were, it feels. I don't know whether that's just a placebo effect, but everything seems to just look like a much better, well-designed game.
Valorant 2.
Valorant 2. What else is there?
2.
Was there more stuff?
Oh my god, there can't be more.
There's one.
It's crazy.
What else have they had?
This one's important. The round rollback feature for tournament games.
Okay.
Like,
Yes, this is actually, this would have saved us a lot of fucking time at Iceland. Is this particular feature?
Mm-hmm. Can you explain to anyone who doesn't understand?
I mean, pretty much for those that watched Iceland, you would notice that when something fucked up, like the game crashed, it would take them like a cajillion hours, especially if they were like deep into the match of that particular map. So now, if you were a mod, you can have in the tournament mode, you can do a rollback, which means that you can just pretty much reset the game state to where it was like very easily before, in very layman terms. So now you don't have to like rebuild the whole game from the beginning and like restart it. You can actually just like roll back the round, which is how every game normally works on LAN, and they just didn't have it available yet for Iceland, and now it's finished, and it's gonna save everyone so much fucking time.
Yeah.
Yeah, huge.
Good.
So still don't think that like if the server crashes or something like that this will solve anything. But
Yeah, I don't know if that'll fix that, but I would
It
hope
is-
that they'll have something in place.
it
for
is
that
really
soon.
interesting that like it's actually like public or relatively public. I don't know what a moderator is. I assume like NSG and stuff gets access to moderator, like they give them moderator access. But also like if you just turn on cheats, you can play with it and see like how it works and stuff. I think that's not something that normally you get. Normally it's like on a utility that you run on the IP address of the server or something like that.
Right.
This is much more integrated, which is cool.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Anything else that's cool from this patch? I mean, obviously there's a ton of stuff in there, but is there anything that jumps out as being very important? They added a bunch of like progression stuff where you can level up your account, and it gets like I don't even really know what that means, but it's just something to have people track as they play the game, I guess. So
Wait, you get skins?
no,
Oh.
I don't think so.
You get a border
Where did you
around
see
your-
that?
your-
I don't know. I
thing.
just saw you. They said if you do the progression, you get some goodies.
Yeah.
That's what it said in there.
Did it?
Kurt, could you just pull it back up again for a second?
I think it would just meant like a border around your account.
So be active for the Dungeon patches. Okay.
It's completely free and has some really cool goodies. I've no idea
Huh?
what the really cool goodies are.
Skins?
Done it. You're a fucking fiend. You
What
are
do you mean?
actually a skin fiend.
Glitch
Yeah,
pop?
let's
Oh my
move on.
Good lord.
Glitch pop?
We
think
spent 2 hours and 12 minutes talking about a patch.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
You know,
First of all, we're
Skin
dorks,
Fiend
but also
sounds like
that's
some
just
sort
ridiculous.
of demon.
That is ridiculous, isn't it? Okay, let's move the
That's-
fuck.
Yeah,
Wow.
we're gonna ignore that one, Connor. Let's keep it.
Yeah, I mean,
let's
that's, you know,
keep it
I just was
pushing.
thinking about that. But
Sounds
go
like
on.
a
Go
wild
on.
Keep
Just
it
keep
pushing.
going.
Didn't even hear him.
Host,
going.
the next topic.
The next topic is the new agent Deadeye has apparently been leaked. At least that's what people are speculating, that there is a new agent and he is called Deadeye and he has been leaked.
Oh my god.
And
He
he's been
looks so
teased in the year one anthem. So
Midas?
often they drop hints about the next thing to come out, either the next
What is he
map or the next
holding?
whatever. He's holding a
That
rifle,
massive
isn't he?
Ghost? That
No,
shit is
it's a
massive
sniper rifle.
It doesn't look like a rifle because there's no clip.
Oh,
I don't know,
see
because
the
I'm
rest of
looking at the
sniper
gun.
body. I see it. Okay.
God, I mean, that is a big gun. That's a
Dude,
big
he
gun.
looks so epic, though.
He looks dapper.
He
He
does.
Yeah, he looks
Yeah.
like he gives
Good-looking
off
gentleman.
very daddy energy, you know?
Daddy, no, I wouldn't say
Yeah.
daddy energy.
Not daddy as
Brimstone.
in like a father, a literal father. Daddy is in like,
As in like what?
As in Avast, like what did you think about
Is
when you
Avast
think about
biting his
Avast?
lip?
like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as I hear an agent called Deadeye in the game, I'm thinking that his ult makes body shots one-shot kill. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, actually,
Spike-
now that I'm looking at the gun, that does look like his ult is
pulls
he
out
gets
this
he
rifle.
gets a rail gun.
and it has one
And it's just
shot.
a one shot, but
One
no,
shot,
it doesn't
one
have
kill.
no, it's not one shot, it has one clip.
No, has one shot.
You get 5 shots,
Nope.
and they're all one hit kills.
That would be Unbelievably broken. That would be way more broken than Jett. I think it has one shot. I think it's a golden gun with a single shot, and it just kills whoever you shoot it at. Like you can just shoot them in the body anywhere, and it
You
just
guys want my
insta-kills.
crazy prediction?
Yes,
Okay,
please.
I
Yes.
think it's a mixture of what you said,
Okay.
Josh, and what I think. So I
All
think
right.
it's one shot, and I think it also shoots through walls. I think it's a railgun.
Ooh. Well, how
was
would
thinking
you?
Like a
So, like, you'd
Sova
have to combine it with Sova or something to be able to know where they are.
That'd be so broken.
Well,
That'd be
yeah,
so
it just has
broken.
crazy bullet pen. I mean, it is a big gun.
That is a
I mean, if it's just like,
gun.
I mean,
I
it
bet
depends on
you-
how wide the bullet is too,
If
right?
that was true, I bet you'd become shrouded.
that
And
like
you
a
wouldn't get
brick?
any of the mini map. You wouldn't get anything. You'd just be shrouded. It'd be like, "Bleh," and then you'd be like, boom, take the one shot, and that's it.
I like the sound
Hmm.
effects you added into that one as well. Yeah.
Professionally done.
He does give off I'm Ash's brother energy.
Yeah.
I don't know I can't remember which
Face
one of you said
tattoos
that
as
before
well.
the show.
Yeah, I think that
But
was
he,
Avast.
he does look like Ash's brother.
Yeah, it was me.
Like Ash from League of Legends. I don't know.
No,
Ash from Overwatch.
No,
Overwatch.
Ash from Overwatch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't
Ash
know.
from
Looks
this
cool.
Yeah, this game.
Looks cool. Don't know what they're gonna
What is
do at all. Just rampant speculation, but looks cool.
That looks
silhouette
like a Clint Eastwood
right there.
movie.
It is kind of crazy though.
Yep.
Yeah. It
That's
looks
right.
like her
Yep.
brother.
That's the
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, Deadeye's gonna come out in a skimpy little Riot bikini. Dude, it's actually unreal what they do to their League of Legends champions. It's fucking absurd. Like, it's the thirstiest game I've ever seen in my life. I'm glad Valorant did
I
it.
mean, that's
Yeah, good
I
thing
mean,
no one
I
in
mean,
Valorant's thirsty.
okay, they're
that's
not
power.
as bad. Come on, they're not as
They
bad.
have not made any outfits or
Wyatt
like
has been in the depths.
skins yet for Valorant. That's,
Oh
bad.
yeah, sure. But
like if they
I
make
mean,
if they make actual skins, then,
I was saying
maybe.
You're right. They haven't. Riot has yet to succumb to that community in the form of using them for profit. Yeah, Riot has not used the thirsty community for profit yet, but they will. Because that community. I mean, listen, that community is definitely there. That community's there, and they're ready to spend money.
They definitely are. Another
Is it a
league-
community?
Wait,
What?
sorry?
Is that a community? Just
No,
people
just
that-
thirsty Valorant players.
Yeah, I'm not sure they.
Millions.
do they
of them.
commune?
Let's stop
I
right
don't
there
know.
because
Yeah, I don't think they commune. They're just everywhere.
Community's probably not. Yeah, exactly. They're everywhere. It's not a
ubiquitous.
community. It's just.
they're among us.
There was another leak that was involved in all of this. By the way, Riot, we have yet to even discover this new patch, this new agent. They're already throwing new shit at
gonna
us.
say, yes.
It is a bombardment of distractions. It is a fucking, it's bread and circus is what Riot have thrown to the populace because they know that people will get distracted by like Icebox still being shit if you just throw fucking new agents at them all the time.
Icebox is fine.
Yeah.
Icebox is fine.
Which, to
Yeah.
be fair,
Guys hating
is
on
like, that's a
Icebox.
perfectly
Hate
valid
on
thing.
Bind, please.
Yeah, I mean, Bind is awful. Bind. I mean,
I think that's perfectly
but
valid.
the new
though,
agent, Deadeye's
honestly.
coming out soon.
So.
Yeah, and also the new leak, which was then confirmed in a report by Tyler Roseberger, Fion, was that the Valorant Champions event, the big world-class event at the end of the year, is to be held in Los Angeles. That was apparently like, there was a tiny sign inside a trailer that said Los Angeles on it. And then when Tyler went digging for more information, it was confirmed to him from multiple people that it will be held in LA at the end of this year. Balla, you tweeted that that's underwhelming. I feel like you're jaded. LA is the city of angels.
I am. I had people DM me and like, actually, I think this is sick, and they're all from EU, and I'm like, oh, I actually forgot that like LA is the place to go in the US. It's like New York and LA, like those are the places that you
Yeah.
want to go as.
It's Hollywood, baby.
Anybody else?
Right?
What?
That's what people
Anyone-
say.
yep.
Anyone
Yeah.
could be anyone here.
But as esports people, I'm sure we are all jaded in fucking LA. It's like literally every
Yeah.
fucking event, man. I don't know how many times I've flown to LA and then back and then LA again and then back and then LA again. So yeah, I'm underwhelmed, and I understand where it's coming from now. Because at first I was like, LA, why? Like I had this reaction. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
But I didn't get it. I get it now.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely a safety precaution too, I think, because even though we're ramping down throughout the world COVID wise, at the end of the day, America's going to be open for fucking business. Okay. We already are open for fucking business
Yeah.
for the most part. And so LA later this year is 100% going to be fine unless something goes crazy. Right. While like there could be still parts of the world that you might want to hold it that you might have issues with. Right.
I mean,
like the
Sweden
international.
recently. Think about Sweden, yeah.
Sweden. Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
there are things that I think logistically it makes a lot of sense still.
Yeah. I guess it's between that and holding it in, like Korea or China or something like that where you're more
Yeah, but
confident
even
that
those
it's
would
been
have
able
more
to-
restrictions than the States. So
Probably by the time it gets there, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty cool. There's a lot of big venues in LA that they could try and go for. You don't have to worry. You can use the group that's on the ground already, that's part of that is right there in the city with LCS to make it incredible. You don't have to deal with all the COVID bullshit when it comes to your logistics of your production. You still have to deal with it all in terms of getting visas and stuff for players to get there potentially. And we don't know what the world is going to look like, but it feels like this is a pretty safe bet while still having some of the glamour for people around the world. I'm fine with it. I think it's pretty good. It's a good beginning place.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good first one. And there can be some level of crowd. That'd be sick.
Yeah. Did Tyler report where they were intending to hold it in LA? The venue at all?
No.
Because they must already be in conversations for a venue, because you don't just decide on a city without already having talks about where you want it to be held. A venue is important, but whatever. They have many different options. So, okay, moving on. VCT
Staples
is about
Center?
to kick off. What, sorry?
I said Staples Center?
I mean, it could be, honestly. With the size of the viewership and with what Riot has done previously with Worlds and with their aspirations to make Champions, they said previously that they want Champions to be on the same scale as Worlds, which is, I mean, that is idiotic if they were any other company. But because it's Riot, they just have money to blast away on stuff like that, I guess. Even if you don't know how successful it's going to be. Okay, VCT is going to kick off, and that means that people have signed up to Battlefy, and that means that a bunch of shit has been leaked everywhere, because now people are signing up to Battlefy with their rosters.
Yep.
The first one being Team Envy. They have signed up with Marved playing instead of Caboose. They've also signed up with Mike's HD as coach. Don't know whether
really?
Yeah, don't know whether you saw that all over Reddit as well because of the Battlefy
Thanks,
information.
Battlefy.
Exactly. Thanks, Battlefy.
Envy's probably happy about that.
Yeah. So
Well, what can you do, I guess?
we talked about
Other
this.
than hide that information?
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit previously. Any further thoughts now that it seems to be fairly confirmed, set in stone, rather than just being a random rumor?
I mean, the first thing is, actually, my main thought is what initiated this? What exactly happened here? That he's no longer on FaZe and that Envy decided to get him. Who caused this is my main question, I guess. I need backstory.
Yeah,
you know?
it would be interesting to get that kind of information. I imagine that it was Envy that triggered this. But also with FaZe going through, like, I don't know, I guess it's like growth problems. I feel like they hit something that worked really well and failed to recapture that magic moving forwards. And whenever you have those kind of scenarios, it can be frustrating as a team because you know what you were capable of, but you can't get back to it. Those can be the most frustrating times as a team.
Shouldn't we be able to see what FaZe is coming up with as well? No?
I guess.
Maybe they just
Shouldn't it be
haven't
on
signed up
Battlefy?
yet.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe.
I mean, the last I've
There's only
seen.
56 teams? That seems so wrong.
No, it is
I
still a
guess you
couple
don't have
weeks
to
out,
sign
right?
up yet. Yeah.
Yeah, there's still time.
Or a week.
So
Oh,
I
okay,
doubt
yeah,
that'll-
9 days.
And also, if you know, I mean, as we know, gamers and particular esport players, like they're gonna wait till last possible second to make that shit. Like, I
Yeah.
guarantee you, most of those rosters that are already up have been made by managers, and they force
Yeah.
them to all the players to go do that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
The last I heard from FaZe, or last rumor I had seen, last screenshot, whatever, was still that they were just playing with Jammies. Yeah.
Yeah. Which would be cool.
Good player.
But
So,
also,
sure.
who then shot calls for that team? Because Marved was doing some of it over on FaZe. So, I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm
I am interested to see where FaZe are at, though.
interested in both teams, honestly, because I think that I'm curious as to the level of Marved when he's taken outside of the wild environment that was FaZe. Like, if you just took all of those pieces out of FaZe, I think that they could do way better elsewhere. So I'm interested to see how this works.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Yeah, I'm just interested to see also what they do with Mummy, actually.
Yeah.
What his position on the team is going to be. If he's going to be playing more Jett again.
I feel like he has to be.
Surely, right?
And also, Caboose is still on that. It was listed on that roster still, so it seems like the Caboose.
It's not
whatever's
on the
going
one
on.
I'm looking at.
Oh, really?
No.
Yeah. He was on the screenshot, but do you have
but
a
not
link?
in the updated
I'm
one?
looking on it right now, and I don't see him.
Well.
Can you send a link?
There's a guy called Tailspin.
Yeah, Tailspin is
their
the
GM.
general manager.
Yeah, it's a general manager.
Yeah, I doubt he's going to be playing. If he was, that would be major. That would be pretty major.
Oh,
Here we go. Okay. Valorant Champions Tour Stage 3. Here's Battlefy. Here's where all the leaks are coming from. Team Poggers in there. Love to see that. Are there any
Love
teams
Team
that we were...
Poggers.
Who's there? Ghost
Team
Gaming? They have
Poggers,
Koala
that's
Noob now.
former Serenity.
Okay.
I love Massive Physiques. There's one called Massive Physiques in there, and that one is that's good. That's
Yeah.
a big one.
That's pretty good. Where are people getting these
Oh yeah, I
avatars
see. No
from?
Caboose.
I think that's just a Battlefy thing you can just select.
Yeah.
I like tailspins.
Yeah, it's just don't even know what that is.
This is a very Tailspin thing. If you know Tailspin, this is a very Tailspin thing because he's like Mr. Ronnie Dupree is very K-Kona. This is a very K-Kona snowman.
That's a K-Kona snowman, is it?
That's what it looks like a bit,
All
like
right.
an outlaw snowman. You know?
Yeah, it looks like a pirate snowman. Yeah,
I was
except...
thinking more outlaw.
Okay. I doubt it ever snows on the sea. I imagine pirates never get the chance to build snowmans.
Wait, what is that? What is...
To the
To the crib. To the
No, it's
crib.
just the
Wait,
crib,
Coochie Mane! Look at that.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
Okay.
right now?
Okay, we
Where's this going?
We gotta stop. Another one here,
that's
though,
funny.
was TSM. So if you
Right.
wouldn't mind clicking on TSM here, they don't... Wait. Who is Little Bits?
That's
Bang.
That's,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
that
Bang.
seems
Right. So that's who I was about to bring up as well. Because from...
They also cut Wardell.
Yeah, Wardell's not playing with them
Yeah.
anymore because he's a noob. So...
Yeah, goodbye,
Well,
Wardell.
Chet's starting. That's exciting.
Yeah. But they have been seen scrimming and have now signed up with Bang instead of Brax. Bang is someone that you were talking about ages ago, Wyatt.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was back... He
Oh,
kind of came onto my
Serenity, right?
radar. It was like the Pittsburgh Knights tournament, one of those random ones from like December or something.
Sure.
But anyhow, he just appeared to have an immense amount of potential to me. He's a young player. I'm pretty sure he's like 17 or 18. At the time, he was playing controller. He was playing Omen for the team he was on, which was Serenity.
On the way. Yeah.
And he's
Serenity.
played on a couple teams since then, and he's played other roles. He's played Raze a bit. He's played some Duelist. Presumably, I have no idea what he's going to be playing on the CSM roster. I expect that the CSM look will be different than what we've seen in the past. At least I would hope so to some extent. But I have to say, this is the best move I think TSM have made so far. I'm glad they have finally taken a chance on an upcoming Valorant talent, which is something that they really have needed. I feel that they've needed to do before. Better late than never. This is a great player who I think has been kind of under the radar. I like this pickup a lot, and I think Bang has a ton of potential. So I'm actually, for the first time in a long time, I'm excited to see what TSM are going to come out here with. And also, we haven't seen them with Chet working with them behind the scenes yet, so it'll be the first time seeing, to some extent, what he's cooked up with them. This is a good move, and also bringing in Chet, if he had something to do with this move, kudos to him as well, being their new coach, because I think this is a great one.
Sure. I find it hard to be excited until I've seen something, though. It's just been so many months of them doing nothing that I need some kind of glimmer before I'm hooked back into the TSM train. Otherwise I'm just going to assume that it's more of just cycling roles and stuff like that, even though they have added a new player. But yeah, it's cool.
I don't know much about Bang. I will ask the question: does Bang solve the problems of mentality and motivation, like momentum in the team that they need?
I mean, that
Who knows?
That I cannot answer. I can only attest to what I've seen him do in the server, and he is absolutely. I think he's already a better player from what I've seen than the previous ones they've had on the team that he's replacing. And he also has way more potential than those guys or many other players they could have gone with, and some of the other people on the roster. I think this is the type of move where I think there is a world where he becomes a key piece for TSM as time goes on, and he is just one of their star, really solid players for the future of TSM. So no, I don't know if this I can't attest to him in regards to those facets, but I think that as a player with his skill, this is a key piece for TSM, will be a key piece moving forward. Because, I mean, you know, most teams, especially older teams and teams with players who have been around for a while, you're going to make moves as time goes on. Players are going to fall to the wayside, you know, in comparison to the rising talent. And they have gotten someone who is a rising talent. So I don't, yeah.
Okay.
You won't solve those problems, but it is a great pickup nonetheless. I mean, I think more of those problems being solved is probably on the back of Jett, right? I mean, in regards to the mentality or approach.
Low energy unless they're winning. That's what I've ascribed to them, and I'll continue on that.
Also, he's like 17 going into a team with a bunch of grizzled vets, so he's definitely not going to be.
I fear for a situation where he becomes like Poise on Cloud9, where he's not contributing to the help because he's too young or not experienced enough, or he's not contributing to the problems that they have, or that he's not contributing to solving the problems that they have, but he's still a good player that he just like kind of just is there and it's doing well, but
I mean, that's once again on Chet.
That's a possible outcome.
I think that's once again on Chet. Like, if it's a culture issue, that's on coaches to solve and not player. Like, players have responsibility, but like if a player's not fixing their problems, then it's on the coach to push them to fix that, right? So like that's to me, that's like the number one thing a head coach should be doing is fixing your cultural issues. Like, I feel like that matters to me more so than game strategy, because like so much of playing competitively is just having the right mental. So
very hard to know until we've seen him play as well and seen what the roles are and whether this team has a different dynamic. There was a fairly major upset, actually, in one of the only tournaments that's been going on recently, which is the Game Changers tournament. And Cloud9 Wyatt, who up until this point, I believe had been completely undefeated in all of their Game Changer, not just Game Changer, but even before that, just all women's tournaments. They had just been battering everybody. And Shopify Rebellion dealt them a bit of an upset blow here with a win. Balla, speak to me about this. What does this mean for the scene?
This is like Vision Strikers dropping a map and people freaking out. Like that's what this is like. Right
so
now.
Shopify Rebellion, they didn't beat C9 White. By the way, they just lost a map.
They won a map. That is why I'm.
They beat them on a map.
Yeah.
Brandon was freaking out. I mean, this team is. I actually think that this is a very, very good team because I follow KP a lot, and she's just phenomenal. She's a great IGL, destroys, and played in a lot of the open quals and VCT and stuff like that. I think with time they could be beating Cloud9 Wyatt, but for now, it's just a map. So I don't know why we're freaking out at all, because the next two maps they got battered 13-4, 13-5. So it's like. Okay.
The downfall of Cloud9. I think people just enjoy seeing any kind of competition at the top level, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because it's just the whole point of a scene like Game Changers is that it's supposed to be like a rising tides raising all ships, right? Where you're giving more opportunities to more women teams, you're trying to foster competition and see if other people get raised up to the level of C9 Wyatt, where they can compete with tier 2, tier 3, all teams when it comes to VCT. So it's cool to see more people even get close to being able to take a match win.
Game Changers is this weekend, so this is going to be the time where we actually like get to see both. Did they even qual? Unfortunately, yeah, I think they did qual in like lower bracket or something like that.
I believe they did in lower bracket.
Yeah, they qualled against Gen.G. And either way, like, I think this will be the tournament where Cloud9 Wyatt will get challenged the most, specifically because they don't have Katie anymore.
Yeah, sorry, I'm giggling because Gen.G's called their team Team Bumble.
Yeah, because I think Gen.G are sponsored by Bumble.
They're
Gen.G are sponsored by
yeah.
Bumble.
Yeah, gamers
Yeah.
have to date too.
What's their main team called?
Gen.G.
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 And they've called the women's team Team Bumble. Is that not weird to
Probably
anybody
just a
else? I think that's
sponsor obligation.
fucking weird. I think that's really strange that you call your all women's team after a
I could see
dating
where you're
app.
going for. I could
That's
see where
really
you're going
fucking
for.
odd. Is it
But
not?
it's
The Team Bumble is like it's a part of Gen.G, sure, but it's also a separate. It is a team, and the whole idea of it is that it supports diversity and inclusion and has all these values. It's not necessarily just like the app or whatever. That's like the goal of Team Bumble.
Wait, but it is just directly the app's sponsorship.
It is an app sponsorship.
Right,
yes.
okay. I just think that's really odd. I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's really strange. I don't know. If TSM had TSM and then TSM Tinder and that was their all women's team, that would be mind blowing to me. I don't know. I feel like that's really bad
it's
marketing.
strange, but if you think about it, those are probably it's a more like a socially conscious sponsor, right? In the scene is like an app like that. Theoretically, you would think
Sure.
that maybe they're going to approach it from a different angle. So
No, I feel
it's
like it's a
weird when
perfectly
you
fine
when you make the dots, but I don't
perfectly
think
fine
it's
sponsor.
that weird. It is. I
It just
do see
caught
where
me
you're
off
coming from,
guard.
'cause, yeah, at
It's
face
just
value,
strange.
I'm like, wait a minute. At face value, it's strange. Yes.
But Bumble is like they basically. I'm pretty sure that Bumble is not investing in the like inclusion and diversity sections of Gen.G. So like the esports
right.
teams that
They
are not
only wanted to support the women's team.
right.
They're
because
only
I'm pretty sure
interested
Bumble
in-
is like I don't know. I haven't downloaded a dating app ever. I don't know what it is, but I'm pretty sure that they do
save.
like they do they do make it so that the women are the people who are able to do something for like I don't fucking know how it works, but there is
Right.
some element of women empowerment here with Bumble. So it's not as weird as you think it is.
Okay. I mean, we are just giving them free publicity here. But
Yes,
I'm
we are.
going to be honest.
Give
I mean,
them
at
so
this
much
point, if
free
you
real
are in the
estate to
demographics
Bumble.
that watch the show, you probably know what Bumble is. So, you're probably more than likely.
Okay, moving on.
My
The six.
God.
I want to move. This is their official website, and it's a tiny resolution image that's been blown up.
Now all I
That
can
is
think of
so
is the
strange.
Transformer Bumblebee. I don't know why, but that's all I can
'Cause
think.
it's yellow.
I keep on hearing Shia LaBeouf doing Bumblebee.
I want to move on to talk about the 6-map pool. I want to jump to that because this is interesting. The rule set has been announced. Someone's got to walk me through it because I do not understand it, even after Balla tried to walk me through before the show.
I
What
can't
the
even
fuck
find
is
it.
going
I can't
on?
even find it still. Balla's talking about it. He keeps telling me the section. I still can't find it. I think I'm just blind.
Okay.
Unbelievably
Okay.
blind. So
I've
Balla,
learned my
go.
alphabet. Now teach me how the maps work.
Yes, if you could pull it up, or I'm trying to pull it up right now. But basically, okay, we have 6 maps.
Yes.
In NA, this is how it's going to work. For a best of 3, Team A is going to ban one map. Team B will ban a map. Team A will pick a map. Team B will pick the side. Then Team B will pick a map. Team A will pick the side. And then for the last 2 maps,
Yeah.
okay.
Because
it'll
here's
go
where the
to the
complex
one-
part comes.
It'll go to the map that is higher rated by the team. So before the tournament, every single team is going to rank the maps in whatever order they like. They're going to be like Ascent is number 1, whatever, Breeze is last. Okay? They're going to average all that together. And they're going to have a list of maps by basically
Right.
favor of all the teams. So there
Yeah.
will be a map that will be last. It'll be Breeze. Okay? So if it comes down to, well, it will. In a best of 3, there will always be 2 maps left. It'll
Yeah.
pick the one that is most favored.
So that means that whatever map is voted by, let's say 130 teams sign up to VCT in NA. Whatever map is decided by those 130 teams is their least favorite will not get picked very often, because even if it's left until the very
has to be
end,
picked.
it will only ever be played if it's directly picked by one of the teams after the bans go through. So if it's just
Right.
left until the end, it will always be removed automatically by the sorting algorithm, right? Is that
Yep.
is that correct?
Exactly. Yes.
Right.
And they're
okay.
taking the data, they're pooling the data from every team that signs up
There's difference between open qualifier and the actual challenger event, and I'm not exactly sure, but
Yeah, some
ostensibly,
teams
yeah.
made it through to close qualifiers automatically.
This is
time.
better than
Oh,
a
no.
purely
See,
random
challenger
system,
qualifier is
I guess.
different. Challenger qualifier is different. The main event has that seeding thing for the maps. The challenger if you go to the main event, down at the bottom is the note on seeding, and it says map 3 is the highest seeded map. So that's only for the
Okay.
8 teams in the main event. The
Okay.
challenger qualifier, which is the one above,
Right.
is based off of seeding, and the better seeded team gets to pick two maps. I guess to pick.
Yeah,
two
they get to
maps.
pick 2 maps.
Okay. So it's only for the main event.
There is a
Okay.
huge advantage to being higher seeded in the open qualifiers. But once you get to the main event, once you get to the main event, it then becomes it's ranked. How many teams are there in the main event? How many teams are we polling to see which is the least favorite map?
8.
Is it 8?
It's the same as before, yeah.
Right,
8.
same as before. Okay. So they're going to ask those 8 teams which is there to rank them. Yeah, that is such an unusual method. I guess I don't hate it because you're not randomizing the final map, but it's still not great. I guess
It
it comes
basically
down to
gives everybody like a potential to perma veto, or it basically gives everybody the idea like one map, like depending on how we veto, might also just be vetoed.
Yeah, and every team will know that from the very beginning. Also, it's interesting for us as fans, I suppose, to have that ranked data released. Like the top 8 teams in North America, which maps do they like? Which maps don't they
Yeah,
like?
that's actually cool. If they
That is
integrate in the
somewhat cool.
broadcast and like actually release that sort of stuff, but
I
It's a
hope they
tricky
do.
it's a
They
tricky
probably
thing because also as a developer, do you want like the unanimous like we all think this map is shit like shown on your broadcast, right? So
Yeah, it
but,
might
but
also be
considering
though
that
that
Riot's done a good job with it, I think it'll be okay.
it might just be Breeze because people haven't played it as much though too. It
Yeah.
might not be because Breeze is
Yeah.
bad.
It would
might
be
just
interesting if
be-
it wasn't Breeze, I would say. I
there
think it'd
is
be
an
interesting if it
opportunity
wasn't.
for it not to be Breeze and for us to get a lot of Breeze because of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
By the main event though, do they mean for the
Basically 2 weeks from now. That's where they qualify for it's when they qualify for the finals. That's what
Right.
the main event is.
Is
And
that
I'm
the same
assuming
as
that it's
Challengers
also-
1?
What?
Is that the same
Yes.
as Challengers 1?
Yes.
Okay, so Challengers
But
1 will
they're now
use
calling
the
it
ranked
Challengers
stuff.
1 main event. Since stage 2, they've been using that nomenclature.
Why do they make it so fucking complicated, man? It's they all of their nomenclature is so poor. It's if you aren't deep in the scene, you have no clue what's going on. You're drowning in their secret sauce. Absolutely just marinara through the ears. All right. I feel though that
That's a 5 is map advantage now, though. Not map advantage, but like veto advantage for the better seed.
right. Yeah. I assume it's just pick.
Wait, what the hell? Actually, no, they didn't. Oh yeah. It's ban. The higher seed gets a ban, and then pick.
Oh,
pick.
really? The highest seed gets a ban. Okay.
Yeah,
That's-
because there's 6 maps.
Yeah,
They
but
have
you
to.
could also
Somebody
just
needs
have
to.
it pick, and then it's just whatever's left until last. You know, that way everyone gets to play their best maps. If you use the highest seed gets a ban, you can ban their best map. So that that's a bigger advantage than just going for a pure pick format. Anyway, we're lost in the fucking weeds. Valorant's year 1. Oh, sorry, Balla, go on. You have another point?
I think it'll be really interesting, actually. Like we were saying how a 6 map pool will never work, and we can't figure out a way to we can't wrap our head around a way to do it. But I honestly think that this might be relatively cool. If it goes in a way that I'm thinking it will, which is like sometime like if you want to pick the bad map, you have to pick it first, which means that we will see it in a series. If it gets picked. If Breeze is the last map, then if it gets picked at all in anything, it will be first or second.
Cool.
And you will see it in a series rather than, well, we're just going to leave Breeze until the last. And then
Yeah.
most of the time you won't see it anyways.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point. There was, I believe, a video released. We're calling it. It's called Valorant's Year 1 Anthem. I haven't seen this. I don't know what this is, but you guys,
I
what?
haven't seen
Fill
it
me
either.
in. What is this, Balla?
This is where the leak for LA was.
Oh, okay. This
Year
was
1
this
Anthem.
video, right? Yeah. Okay. Are we gonna react? Are we react Andes?
We'll react to Andy's here.
I think
Yo,
that-
Painful.
his brain just exploded with Omen's octopus.
What actually is Octopus?
Yeah.
I think like it'd be cool to just talk about like year one because like that
Yeah.
like an overall how this year went for Val.
Yeah. For sure.
I think it was overall when we look back, considering what the expectations were like. I think at one point when we were first starting to get to like the Ignition series and stuff like that, like I think it kind of blew. I think with Iceland and the finishing of Iceland, overall everything, I think it had an amazing year. You know, like having your first major event, the first major land for it, do so well, and I think they've been doing an excellent job with how they're moving the game forward too. Like when we look at the newest patch, um, it's hard to argue how successful the game has been looking currently. You
Mhm.
know, and I think, and also it's done a lot of great things culturally wise that like a lot of other like plenty of esports are involved, but very few esports are also developing from the get go like something like Game Changers as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think Valorant kind of I was still very obviously I was very interested in Valorant, but I was skeptical about like where our progression was going to be. Like people were maybe too overzealous with like what the arc was going to be and like how fast it was going to grow. But seeing after so far this year, it seems like it's on track to kind of blow expectations out of the water in some way.
This video is tripping me
freaky.
out.
That's a little freaky.
I'm losing it.
That was a wild video.
This
Okay.
video's lit.
Is
This video's
wild.
so lit.
It's still going. It is
Yeah.
pretty cool though. It is pretty cool.
Yeah, the first year has been astoundingly successful. I mean, the major part of that being just the Reykjavik viewership. Because if it hadn't been for the Reykjavik viewership, it would have been a good first year. All the viewership was very good. But the Reykjavik viewership was unbelievable. I mean, it was just insane. You're getting over 1 million viewers. Is this a shrine to Shroud? This is a temple of Shroud. Wow.
And also, God, their content game for Valorant has just been crazy. Like, that's the other thing too that is so different, and like it's also why I think League is so giant. Like the way they make content and trailer and hype for their game and build around the community is just next level. It's just fucking next level, and every other developer needs to be taking note. Like when you see like how successful, and it's the reason why Riot just fucking owns everybody. Is because like no one puts forth the effort to actually make stuff that makes their community feel very involved and to constantly produce trailers and content that people can consume.
Sorry, I'm just watching Myth get, I don't know, like fucking explosive farted on. That's insane. But they must also, anybody who's worked for an organization or for a developer or anything, you've got to understand the buckets of cash they're spending on marketing. It is insane. The amount of developer time that's being put into the game, the marketing money and hours that are being poured in, the content being created. Like, it's vast, vast amounts of money that's being dumped into the marketing for this game, which is it's different to how other developers approach things. A lot of other developers aren't as gung-ho about, like, we are going to annihilate you with our marketing campaign. But it feels like they've pushed insanely hard for Valorant.
But that's just weird to me.
Well, I think that they've introduced a significant population to that style of marketing and to the League style of let's include the community, let's include the players, let's push the esport as far forward as possible. That everybody who hasn't been introduced to that in the past is kind of shocked and kind of like, what the hell? Like, this is crazy. The amount of money they're spending into it, the amount of quality that's coming out of it, that people are still just now realizing the real possibilities with a game like Valorant in the hands of a company like Riot. As far as like the esport, the competitive side of the game, all the questions in my mind have been answered, like how they're going to handle the abilities and the balance and the visual clarity and blah, 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 blah. And I think they've been answered in mostly a very, very good way. I don't think that the abilities are, oppressive in most cases. Like sometimes I'm going to argue it. And when it comes down to like a real in-game level, I'll probably argue like Viper is oppressive. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not like breaking the game. Not like creating something that I cannot watch or understand or, connect with. I think it's really easy to watch. All these questions have been answered in a positive way, and now it's just me fucking going with the possibilities.
For the moon.
Yeah, it has been quite the year. I mean, if you really, man, I mean, if you think back to like the early stages of the competitive scene, it has just been straight growth. And I feel like I think it started actually slower than people expected out the gate.
Yeah.
I think it actually had some trouble at the beginning.
There was only like 10, 20K viewers for some of the early tournaments.
But it really picked up fast.
Yeah.
Which I think is just a testament to the fact that they actually created an enjoyable viewing experience and also
marketed the tits out of it as well.
Yeah, I mean the game itself is just it's appealing to a wider audience. Having agents who are characters and the world of it is the artistic, like the actual look of the game, the look of the maps. It's digestible. But further than that, I think one of the thing that makes the scene so good is just there are so many natural storylines. The players are funny.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it's a rare thing to have come upon where like every team just seems to have outspoken players who are interesting in a way, or they're either like they're funny or they're interesting, or there are things about their personalities that make these guys stand out, and it actually makes the scene interesting to watch past just the games being exciting.
Yeah.
And that is really, I mean, I think that has been maybe more than anything the best thing going for Valorant so far. Out of all the positive things, yeah. I mean, all of like, still maybe my favorite time of watching Valorant has been the Ignition series. Just every other week going into a tournament, like, all right, who's taking it this time? Is it TSM or Sentinels? You know, like that rivalry and those players and their personalities and like that just came upon itself naturally.
Yeah.
That was just, and that carried Valorant for a long time. And then 100 Thieves coming in. And then in 2021, like Sentinels' entire journey through this year has just been interesting in itself. You know, leading into where they started the year, losing to Luminosity, and then winning Iceland with tens. Like, the stories have written themselves.
Having Fnatic with people like Boaster.
Yeah, and then the NA versus EU rivalry finally coming to a head. Like, it's just been... You couldn't have scripted it better in this case. It has really taken the game far.
I think it's been a kind of natural convergence, though. When I look back at also the orgs involved early, is that when you look back at previous releases, esports was still a lot less solidified until the point we've hit Valorant, where Valorant's like, if you think about where the average esport organization and where they were at with the ability to push content and marketing for players and put out their own storylines and engage with fans, like now versus like 5 years ago, right? The level for orgs has just been elevated so much also to connect with their fans and the push to drive interaction with the people that are your followers, because it's necessary for orgs to be able to continue to retain sponsors, right? So I think that also we've been lucky in that it's very possible if Valorant been released 5 years earlier, we not just because of like obviously what everything else, but like in terms of like the abilities for organizations to push their own storylines and market their players, it would not have seemed as compelling, right? Sure. Like the fact that we have like Sentinels, right? And what have Sentinels been doing with their content, and what Fnatic's been trying to do, and like Fnatic's upped their game a lot from where they were 6 years ago, right?
Yeah,
5-6 years ago. So
there's
I think
also just more money in the scene to be able to.
Yeah, there's more money. There's more
give
expertise.
People more salaries.
There's more videographers. There's more editors. Like there's a lot more. There's more people that understand what they want to do and how they want to push their social engagement. So I think Valorant came at a really nice confluence of like not just the game being designed, but also where esports is currently at.
Yeah,
to like push it forward.
If I can take a moment just to remove Riot's balls from my mouth for just a brief second. They have a couple of things, though, that they still need to really prove. One is that they have a system that incentivizes third-party tournament organizers to actually run tournaments in breaks. Like when there is a break for VCT, you need to have a system where you're not having preventative size of license fees and stuff like that, so that the ESLs and DreamHacks and whatever else is of the world want to run tournaments for your games. Because having a circuit that isn't just Riot run, I think is essential to the health of the game. You can't just have VCT running all the time. You need other shit for people to participate in, especially when we go to a LAN environment. Being able to run major events outside of that and have them included in big events like ESL 1 Cologne or whatever, having CSGO right next to Valorant, that shit would be great. That'd be fucking awesome. And it would fill some of the gaps in the calendar as well with optional events that don't lead to champions but still have sizable monetary value. So I think that's a real thing that they have not proven they're capable of yet at all. The other thing that they haven't proven is that there'll be success in Asia. There is limited success in Asia for sure, but the game hasn't released yet in China, and it hasn't reached like critical mass in Korea either. And while it's building popularity in Southeast Asia, Japan has been promising. One of the coolest things about this game was that it had the potential to tap deep into Asian markets, especially China and Korea, and be a global FPS, the likes of which we haven't really seen. It's done pretty well in Brazil. It's done very well in Europe and North America. Asia, it still has room to grow, I feel. It needs to bang on release in China if it really wants to become like explosively anywhere near as big as like League of Legends, although that is an unattainable milestone, it feels. But to be like significantly bigger than CS worldwide, you need to bang in China. And you also, I feel, need to press what has been limited returns in Korea as well to try and get those regions really on board. And I'm sure the Newturn's success will help, and the financial aid that they've given to organizations in Korea will also help. But getting deeply culturally ingrained with those markets, I feel, is like the big step to making Valorant explode. Like not just 1 million viewers, but you're thinking 1 million Western viewers and then also 1 million Chinese viewers. Like that's very possible for an event in the future if your release does insanely well in China.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I resonate a lot with that first one with the third-party tournaments and stuff, because right now, honestly, I'm getting pretty bored of VCT. I'm not gonna lie. Like, yeah, sure, the games when they really get towards the finals and whatnot, but looking for third-party tournaments or looking like Ascend played in a tournament like that had Wave in it and stuff like that. It's like, okay, they didn't really have anybody good playing.
Yeah, they had no
against them.
competition.
There was nothing, and
well, actually,
and
they had G2, but G2 lost at finest. So.
G2 lost, yeah, exactly. Yep. I am terrified of a world where we only get the international top tier competition happening during Masters events or VCT Champions. If that happens, I am like, it's not going to be a failure. The game is probably going to be fucking fire, and that's one of the big criticisms of League of Legends, is they don't have enough international competition. But that is because they just all are Riot focused. They all have those Riot events, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like if we don't have like a E-League or a DreamHack where, you know, it's not necessarily all the best teams, but some of the good teams showing up every once in a while, I'm gonna be really, really sad, because that's 3 international events a year.
Yeah, that's not. I mean, that's just not enough. And
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to get overloaded with events where it's no longer special, but yeah.
There's a gap in the
agree.
calendar, though. After Masters 3, there is a gap in the calendar before Champions. There's a last chance qualifier in there, but I don't even know whether that's going to be in-house. That, in theory, could be run by a third-party TO. Or it could be that you have a last chance qualifier, but the other teams that have already qualified for Champions or that have no chance of qualifying for Champions have some third-party DreamHack or ESL events to play at where they can win a trophy at the end of the year, even if they didn't get to Champions, so that people can be hyped about them headed into the next year, so that you still have teams that you're rooting for, even if they didn't make it to Champions. You're like, okay, but next year is their year. They peaked too late to make it to Champions, but just in time to win this DreamHack Winter Trophy or whatever the fuck
because
it would be. That'd be sick.
Even though they're, you know, not at necessarily like the or rather, a better way to put it is, there are teams that are going to be just outside of qualifying for Champions or Berlin that we still like and would still like to see against international teams. Like,
and also could still win, honestly.
Sure, like if Envy doesn't make it again, or if 100 Thieves don't make it again, I'd still like to see 100 Thieves play against whoever, G2 or Heretics or some of these teams. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Well then, after 1 year of Valorant, there is still one award which shines above the rest. A third-party tournament organizer who will never sleep. Every single week, he hands out his trophy.
Yep.
And this time, who is it that is going to win Wyatt's weekly award?
Dude, where's my res? Oh, hey. Didn't see you there. That's Wyatt's weekly award. Josh I mean, you guys can't see it because we have a thing. Josh just knocking shit over in the background. Just trying to grab the trophy.
What's happened here?
Just knocking over the Ash brother of Deadeye or sister of Deadeye action figure.
I was trying to get the Wyatt's weekly award and I killed Ash on the way.
Yeah.
I'm a fool.
This week, the weekly award in this off Valorant off season. Can we call it an off season? I guess it's a Valorant off season, kind of, right? There hasn't really been. I mean, VCT off season.
Nothing happening.
Is going to go to George Geddes for some lovely for the journalism he's done in this time. Put out a lot of the news about all of the roster moves we've been going over for the past several weeks now. At this point, has been at the forefront of the Valorant news cycle, which keeps us in business. You know, if we didn't have people like George, well, we'd be talking about patch notes for 4 hours every week.
Oh yeah,
we'd have nothing to talk.
George
about
won't stop us there. You can't stop me, George. We're talking about patch notes forever. No, it is good. I mean, also very thorough reporter as well. Like a large amount of background info given with the reports and always accurate with what he's putting out there. So yeah.
Yeah, he's done a lovely job. Very important to the scene. Keeps us all fed during the starving winters. All the hungry Redditors getting the news that they need. And,
well, they just go to Battlefy as well.
Yeah, sure. Some of them you could do that as well. Yeah, you could just screenshot Myth's stream when Wardell's scrimming. that's the other way to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah. That's the weekly award.
I like it. A lovely weekly award. We'll be back with another episode of Backchat next week and another major episode in time to start reviewing some of the early VCT games, I'm sure. When do the VCT games begin? When should people be tuning in?
So next weekend, not this weekend, but the weekend after
next
that.
It starts on the 1st.
Jesus Christ, this is a long dry period, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, we'll be able to...
We have game changers this weekend.
Yeah, we have game changers and
changers,
predictions next week.
True. All right. Well, you can catch us for that. We'll see you with episode 50
Before we
next
go,
week.
Oh my God.
I
Before
wanted
we go,
to give an additional shout out to all of our members. We have none new this week, but we have discussed some incentives for y'all.
we have.
And we will be producing them for you. So stay tuned on the YouTube channel for that. As well, if you are a member or a potential member, what would you like to get as a member? Let us know in the comments. So, yeah, thank you.
Some things are off limits, but
some things.
Not
Some
Avast.
but not all.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. Technically, I don't represent any brands right now, so I can do anything that I want, right? But no, it just depends.
All right. Well, we'll catch you for the next episode. It will be episode 50. Big round number. I like that one. That's 5 times 10.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
so
excited.
true.
I can't wait until
So
next
true.
week.
That's also 25 times 2.
Bye.